Check 1 2. Test 1 2.
The October 16th, 2025 hearing for the Planning and Land Development Regulation Commission is now called to order. And if I could please have you silence any audible devices that you may have, and if you could please join me for the Pledge of Allegiance. Good morning, everyone. I would like to thank everyone for joining us this morning. Ms. Tucker, could I please have a roll call?
Good morning, members. Member Arison?
Present.
Member Craig?
Present.
Member Shelley?
Here.
Member Costa?
Here.
Sorry, blank. Member Bush?
Here.
Member Sixma?
Here.
And Chair Mills.
Here. Thank you, Ms. Tucker. Okay, we do have minutes from our September 18th, 2025 meeting. Any discussion on those minutes?
I'll make a motion to accept the minutes as presented.
I have a comment. There is a typo or a discrepancy. I know I wasn't here, but I did read them thoroughly. On page 10, under the motion and the recommendation, it says that there were 2 staff recommendations, but there are 3 listed, so I think it's just a minor correction.
Okay.
For item 25-057.
I'll amend my motion to include that correction.
I'll second.
Okay. I got a motion on the floor to approve the minutes from September 18th, 2025 with the correction on page 10 of 15. Yeah. And from Ms. Shelley and a second from Mr. Sixma. Any discussion on the motion? All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye. Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries unanimously. Okay. All right, if anyone would like to speak for or against any of the cases being heard today, if you could please fill out a form at the back of the dais and hand it to Ms. Tucker to my extreme left. We will be limiting you to a 3-minute time limit. After the comments have been heard, I will give the applicant an opportunity to address any concerns the speakers have and answer any questions the commissioners may have. And at this time, I'd like to turn it over to Mr. Soria for legal comments.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. This is for members of the public that decisions by this body on cases which rezone real property from one classification to another pursuant to the zoning ordinance are recommendations only to the county council and do not constitute a final hearing. New evidence may be presented at the county council public hearing. Decisions on variances and special exceptions made by this body constitute final action subject to an appeal to the county council. And what this means is that no new evidence may be presented at the time of the county council public hearing on the appeal. An aggrieved party that appeals such a decision is confined to the record made before this body. Hearings by this body on rezonings, special exceptions, and variances are quasi-judicial in nature, meaning that this body is acting more like a court and must take into account all oral, written, or demonstrative evidence presented. Their decisions on these cases must be based on competent substantial evidence in the record, and competent substantial evidence has been defined as that evidence a reasonable mind would accept to support a conclusion. Thank you, Mr. Chair.
Thank you, Mr. Soria. And while on legal comments, I would like to ask the commission to disclose for the record any ex parte communications that have occurred before or during the public hearing at which the vote is to be taken on any quasi-judicial matter. And I'll start with my immediate right with Mr. Urson.
None here, Mr. Chair.
I have none. None.
None.
None.
I had a conversation with Alex Ford on the case Z25012.
Okay. And I also had a conversation with Mr. Ford on that same variance. Or no, it's a zoning. I'm sorry. All right. We do have an item to be continued. And let me see, who is that? B 25064.
Yes, staff is requesting continuance for V25064 until November 20th PLDRC, as staff has identified more information and needs time to consider it.
Okay. Anyone make a motion?
Yeah, I'll make
on
a
that?
motion that we continue case V-25-064 to the November 20th PLDRC meeting.
I'll second that.
Okay, I got a motion on the floor to continue V-25064 to our November 20th, 2025 meeting for Mr. Costa and a second for Mr. Urson. Any discussion on the motion? All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries unanimously. Okay, we do have some unfinished old business, so Ms. Shelley, could I get you to read in case V-25032?
Yes, sir. Case V25-032, variances to increase the maximum fence height and reduce the minimum driveway requirements on urban single-family residential R9 zoned property.
Okay. Mr. Harris, this one's yours.
Yes, good morning. Excuse me. The applicant is seeking after-the-fact variances to increase the maximum fence height and reduce the required driveway setbacks on urban single-family residential zone property. The variances are: variance 1 is to increase the southern front yard fence height from 4 feet to 7 feet 2 inches. Variance 2 is to increase the western front yard fence height from 4 feet to 6 feet 4 inches. Variance 3 is to increase the western side yard rear yard fence height from 6 feet to 6 feet 8 inches. Variance 4 is to increase the eastern front yard fence height from 4 feet to 6 feet 3 inches. Variance 5 is to increase the eastern side yard and rear yard fence height from 6 feet to 10 feet 3 inches. Variance 6 is to increase the northern rear yard fence height from 6 feet to 9 feet 3 inches. Variance 7 is to reduce the eastern driveway setback from 5 feet to 2 feet 2 inches. And variance 8 is to reduce the western driveway setback from 5 feet to 3 feet 11 inches. The subject properties are located at 881, 875, and 885 Catfish Avenue in New Smyrna Beach. The parcels are substandard in size and width, with 881 Catfish measuring approximately 25 feet wide and 2,496 square feet in area. All are zoned urban single-family residential and designated urban low intensity on the future land use map. The residence at 881 Catfish was built in 1991 as an elevated 2-story single-family dwelling. In 2022, the property was purchased by Mr. Derman. Following the sale, the county received complaints regarding unpermitted improvements, including a paver driveway, enclosure of the ground floor, and installation of perimeter fencing exceeding the maximum height limits. The existing fencing consists of composite wood and vinyl panels attached to a concrete masonry stem wall. Heights range from 7 feet along the front to over 10 feet along the east, and 9 feet at the rear. Section 72, of the code limits fence and retaining wall heights to 4 feet in front yards and 6 feet side and rear yards. The paver driveway encroaches into both 5-foot side yard setbacks, approximately 2 feet 2 inches from the east line and 3 feet 11 inches from the west. The applicant proposes to replace the pavers with a stabilized pervious surface within the same footprint. Any apron work within the right-of-way will require a separate use permit for DRC review. The site lies within the Class 2 and Environmental Core overlays. A notice of violation was issued in April 2025 for noncompliance with the wetland buffer, native vegetation, and stormwater retention requirements. Environmental permitting reviewed a revised plan submitted by the applicant and now recommends approval of the variance request, provided the applicant obtains a wetland alteration permit and Class 2 permit to bring the site into compliance. Since the publication of this staff report, it was confirmed that the eastern stem wall was built without a concrete footer or foundation. Because of this, it does not require a building permit. However, if approved, condition number 2 in the staff report remains in effect to ensure that if any footer or foundation is later found to extend beyond the property line, that portion must be removed before issuing a permit. Staff recommendation is to deny variances 1 through 6 and approve variances 7 and 8, subject to the conditions in the staff report. I'm available for any questions you may have.
Thank you, Mr. Harris. Any questions for staff? Is the applicant present? Good morning, sir. Could I get your name and address for the record?
My name is Kevin Schweitzer. I live at 880 Catfish Avenue, and I'm an architect. And actually, Dermot is my neighbor, so it made sense for him to hire me to help him out here.
Okay. You've heard the staff report. Anything you'd like to add to that?
I think we had a couple other photos that I'd like to
He had a
refer to.
presentation.
Did they get in there? Just, I would like to say, so it's kind of been going on for a while, and I said, like Dermot, let me try and deal with the neighbors and everything. So what we did do is we did get an approval from all the neighbors, and it's in writing for the fence height and everything else. It actually creates a lot of privacy for both the neighbors and for Dermot. And he went through all the Class 2 requirements already, took out a shed that was part of it that was encroaching, took out a lot of deck space, put in native plant and native ground cover, and we did get the approval for the Class 2 in terms of and someone, I'm sorry, I don't know who came out. Maybe Todd came out, but someone came out and approved the Class 2. So we've got that taken care of. This is the signature sheet here with all the neighbors. And then, interesting enough, on the right is an old survey that Stan and Sherry lived to the east of Dermot, and they gave him this survey. And so when he built the fence, they based it on this survey that Stan provided. And according to this survey, the fence actually is on Dermot's property, because that's what they laid it out from. So, and then the new survey, there was some differences of that. But in any event, I think that there's a great improvement with the property, with the fence, and the privacy, and it's actually nicely done. It's very strong fence and built well, and has an aesthetic value. It's got some bamboo on it, and really looks pretty good. So I don't think the fence is an issue at all with the neighbors, and they actually the old retaining wall was falling over onto Stan and Sherry's property. So this new block stem wall was very helpful in keeping the wall from falling over. Any questions?
Okay. Any questions for the applicant? Mr. Costa.
So this last picture that's up there now, that white PVC fence, is that what you took down, or is that what you're putting back up?
No, that's Stan and Sherry's fence.
That's the neighbor's fence. Yeah. Can we scroll down, or scroll back up, rather, sorry? One more time. All right, right there. Which of these is the very first variance, the one that comes off the front yard, which is actually, looks like you're just blocking the entrance to the house. It's not out by the street?
Yeah, it looks like this first one on the left and right.
Okay.
Yeah, that's the driveway. The black area is the apron of the driveway.
Okay. And the fence is going where?
You see it on the left side. It starts. See where that tall piling is there?
Okay.
And from there back.
Okay. So it's on the sidelines of the property line, right?
No.
No?
It's not in the site visibility line, right?
It's on the sides of the property is my point. It's not on the frontage.
No, it's not on the front, right? It's on the sides and the rear.
Okay. All right. And you're just extending it past the driveway there to block the neighbors.
Right.
Okay. That's all the questions I had. Thank you.
Okay.
Okay. I also have a question. These foundations that are encroaching the property line, which one of these fences, how are you going to accommodate that, to eliminate that?
Yeah, apparently the stem wall is fine as long as there's not a concrete foundation. And we went through all the photos, and what's happening, there's about a 32-inch stem wall, about five blocks, and it's poured horizontally with reinforcing, And then the pressure treated 4x4s, the vertical ones are put in about every 12 feet. And so the earth is just compacted around it. And that's what's, and you can actually see some of the block they're using to compact it. But that's the way that they eliminate any foundation at all, any concrete foundation.
Okay. Ms. Bush?
Yes, thank you, Chair. So just for clarification, variance 1 does show the fence coming from the sides to the front of the house on the site plan. And then in the pictures that you provided, I think there's the house numbers on that section of the fence. So can you clarify that?
Okay, I thought it was about in the front. There's no gate or no fence in the front yard.
There is. That's what variance 1 is requesting.
Okay, I'm sorry. I meant this along the road. There's no fence, but the fences do come into the front yard of the sides.
Right.
Yes, I'm sorry.
So okay.
Yeah, that's the encroachment where I believe it's supposed to be 4 feet tall maximum, and then I don't
Correct.
remember exactly, but it's taller than that on the front, and then also what happens is it's measured from the neighbor's side, which is actually lower than Derman's side.
Okay.
At least on the east side. The west side, they're pretty much the same level.
Okay. I'm not as concerned about the height as I am just verifying the location because it indicated when you answered.
I'm sorry, yeah.
That's okay. I do have a second question. On variances 7 and 8, you state that you're going to remove the pavers on the extension of the driveway and do a stabilized surface?
Yeah, there were two, like from the apron, it came down and then flared out at the road, and those pieces have been removed. It was primarily requested by Stan next door, mostly to keep any water running off that direction.
Okay. And then my final question, okay, so I see, so variance 7 and 8. And my final question, I know that it doesn't necessarily state in this letter from Todd, but the prior one stated that you would have to provide some kind of stormwater compensation
Yes.
on the property. Where is that going to be located?
A lot of the existing composite deck material was taken out and was replaced with it's called a wash shell, which is a native landscape ground cover, and it was all provided in there, and that's all on that site plan, the retention.
Okay. The one that we have in front of us, I don't think shows that. Do we have an updated site plan then that shows that that composite is gone?
It should be on here.
Okay, so it's the composite goes around where this little donut hole or U-shaped is, correct?
Pretty much where the yellow is all of the composite.
Not in the backyard.
The shell,
Okay.
yeah.
So then the drainage, you're doing swales essentially on the side of the house?
Inside of those, yeah.
Okay. Okay, thank you.
Mm-hmm.
All right. My question more for staff, the environmental study on this, it says that they have to apply for a wetland alteration permit, and it's not in the condition in the event that this would be approved. Should we put that in the condition?
You can if you want to. They would have to do it regardless. If they to pull, this is outside the zoning category, so they would have to pull the wetland alteration permit just to address some of the unpermitted structures,
Okay.
regardless of your action.
So it's not needed.
You can put it in if you want to, just to make sure, but
Okay. The other thing is the type of fencing that is being constructed now, or is there? What I don't want to do is, because once the variances, and I see it's to the existing perimeter and fence heights and locations, I don't want to create a compound with a big block wall there. And can we put in that into the conditions also as the type of fencing?
yes.
Be
you can-
consistent
you
with
can
what
put
is
in
being-
the current existing proposed materials with no change in the material.
Okay.
So it allows them, just in case a hurricane comes by and damages the fence, they can replace material for material, but they can't, convert it into a full masonry concrete wall that actually would require a building permit anyway. And we've already had a discussion. We will not issue a building permit that encroaches and trespasses across property lines.
Correct.
Right.
So they would still have to adhere to that condition number 2.
Yes.
Yeah. Okay.
And then just to clarify, Pablo, that was in terms of the foundation.
Yes. So basically, what the chair was describing was if you convert it into a full masonry wall to the same height, right? That will obviously trigger a building permit. Like, there's no way you can have that type of structure there. And then we're back into that discussion we had.
Yes.
So your current fence composition and materials, if this variance gets approved, that's fine. The concern is to not expand or enlarge it into a big block wall.
Thank you.
Okay. Any other questions? Mr. Costa?
Yeah, I see that on what you submitted here, there is the letter with it's all the signatures on it for the neighbors. Any neighbor missing?
What had happened, we were in a single permit, a single variance, one property, and we got all the neighbors for that concern. And then it became a tri-party variance because of the wall being on both properties. And I got all the property owners except from Stan to the east, the next property owner, that would be Bill. And then behind him are the Browns, and they just got their notices a couple weeks ago, but I did not get their signature.
So the adjacent property to the left and to the right of the subject property, they're signed off on this sheet?
As well as across the street.
Across the street, okay, thank you.
And I was one of those across the street.
All right, perfect, thanks.
Okay. Any other questions for the applicant? Okay, we're going, do we have any public participation forms for this case?
No, sir.
Okay, we're going to close the floor for public participation and open up for commission discussion or a motion. I don't know what y'all's
All right.
opinion is on this, but I mean, I'm a little bit either way. Be honest.
All right, let me start it then. We'll get from there, get some argument going.
Okay.
Case V-25-032, I make a motion that we approve variances 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6 with the 2 staff recommended conditions and adding the 3rd that any fence material is to be equivalent to the existing material.
And I would also like to add just the language there regarding the environmental permitting, even though it's there, about the applying for the wetland
And also
alteration.
requiring it to apply for the wetlands alteration permit and a Class 2 permit to bring the site into compliance.
Second.
So we're adding 2 more conditions,
So
correct?
4 conditions total, right?
Okay.
Need a second.
All right, we got a second on that. You got a second on that, Ms. Shelley? Okay. All right, is any discussion on this motion? Okay. Ms. Bush?
Just for clarification, there are 8 variances, so we're only voting on 6, correct?
Nope, did I miss a couple?
Yeah, I think you did.
There's 2 different staff reports. The one from this month had 2 additional variances versus the one that from the prior 2 months ago.
All right, let me amend that motion then to include variances 7 and 8. So it's all variances 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, and 8 with the 4 recommended conditions, or the 4 conditions that we put on here. Does that work?
Yep.
And I'll amend my second.
Okay.
All right.
All right, any discussion on the motion? All right, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries unanimously. Do I need to restate that motion, Paula? I didn't.
No.
We're good?
It was understood on what conditions we're going
Yeah,
to
the
put
4
in.
conditions now instead of just 2.
And the amendment was just to add in the additional 2 variances, 7 and 8.
Right.
With the same conditions.
Okay, I didn't restate it. My mistake. Okay. All right, the other unfinished business was V-25062. Ms. Shelley, could I get you to read that case in?
Yes, sir. Case V-25-062, a variance to the minimum lot coverage and minimum yard requirements on urban single-family residential R5 zoned property.
Thank you, Ms. Shelley. this is Mr. Jaskula.
Good morning. The applicant is seeking a variances to increase the maximum lot coverage from 35 to 41% and to reduce the required rear yard setback from 25 feet to 10 feet for a proposed principal structure. The property is zoned R4 with a minimum setback of 25 feet in the front, 5 feet for the sides, and 20 feet from the rear. The parcel is vacant at roughly 5,000 square feet. It remains undeveloped prior to the initial building permit. It is located on the east side of Cedar Street, approximately 255 feet from the intersection with Spruce Street, Daytona Beach. The applicant proposes a 2,052 square foot single family residence. During permit review, the Florida Department of Health required relocation of the septic system and drain field to the front yard to satisfy public health and safety standards. The relocation resulted in the shifting of the principal structure 10 feet towards the rear property line, which caused the variance number 2. Upon review, staff identified that the principal structure results in a 41% lot coverage, which exceeds the permitted maximum by 6% and was not identified or noted previously. Accordingly, staff included an additional variance to address the deviation. The original site plan met setbacks requirements. Only the septic and drain field relocation triggered the second variance, and the site plan was not found to be greater than the maximum lot coverage until the variance staff review, triggering the first variance. These are both non-self-imposed hardships. Environmental permitting reviewed the application, had no objection, and then also there was a letter of opposition submitted from the south abutting neighbor, which council has with them in the email. The neighbor stated the applicant is building within 5 feet of the property and does not want them building right on the property line. To address this letter, the proposed principal structure meets side yard requirements at greater than 5 feet and is not proposed on the property line. Staff recommends approval for the variance request. Should PLDRC find the applicant has provided substantial evidence for approval, the conditions are provided for your consideration. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Any questions for staff? Ms. Bush?
Thank you, Chairman. I have a few. So the not meeting the 35% lot coverage or building area was not due to shifting of the home, correct? That was an original size of the
Yes.
home, the original
Yes.
permit? Okay. Are there any homes that are surrounding that exceed the maximum lot coverage?
Not to my knowledge.
Okay. And then on the property location map on page 14, well, I'll save the rest of my comments for discussion. Thank you.
Okay, any other questions for staff? All right. This letter of objection, that's not the property line we're dealing with, correct?
They're the south 1174. No, we're not dealing with that one. That's a side yard setback, and they meet it.
That's what, I heard you say that. I just want to clarify it. So, okay. So regardless, it would still be only 5 feet away.
Correct.
Okay. All right. Okay, is the applicant present? Applicant not here? Okay. Do we have any public participation forms?
No, sir.
Okay. We're going to close the floor for public participation, open up for commission discussion. And I might add one other thing. What is the amount proposed square footage on this home?
Yeah, 2,052 square feet.
1,052. So if they were to reduce the size of the home, they could meet the lot coverage. Is that correct, Mr. Jacusa?
Correct.
Okay. All right. That was my questions. All right. Any discussion or a motion?
I'll make a motion.
Go ahead, Mr. Bush.
And I'm going to be rusty at this, I apologize. So I move to deny variance 25-062, the variance for the minimum lot coverage and minimum yard requirements for the urban single-family residential R5 zoned property at 1991 Cedar Street.
And I will
Second that.
second that one, actually.
Okay, that's on variance 1.
And 2,
Two, both of them.
both
Yeah.
of them.
Okay. Okay. I would wait for a discussion. Okay. We got a motion on the floor. Any discussion on the motion?
Yes, Chair.
Go ahead.
A couple things. One, I think that they wouldn't need, if they were to reduce the the house size, then I don't think that they would need to have variance 1, which is the variance to the rear yard. Second, this is, to my knowledge, the second time in 6 months that we've had a variance come before this board that was due to a building permit issued in error. And I just do not feel comfortable approving variances that are not, I feel like they are injurious to the public, and I feel like that is not our job, is to correct issues that, because staff is not, unfortunately, and it happens, but then let it be non-conforming at that point. Don't force this body to then make a decision to approve something after the fact or after that permit is issued. Third, I have harped on this since I've sat in this chair, but increasing the building coverage, the lot coverage, increases the impervious surface, and we really need to be strict about ensuring that we keep to those standards to reduce flooding in the future. So that is why I made the motion for denial.
Okay. Mr. Soria, you had a comment. And
Yes,
I'm sure you want it in the affirmative, or?
No. Ms. Bush's motion is fine. That's not
Okay.
about that. This is about just making sure that the applicant was informed of today's hearing, that it was properly noticed, and they are not here, and therefore they have waived their right to present any evidence and object to your decision. They can appeal it to county council, but they're not here.
Right.
So you can
So they
make,
can't appeal it, even though they're, whichever way
so
it goes.
you can take action if you want to. You can continue it, but there's a motion on the floor to deny.
Okay. I got one other question for staff. On variance 2, the 10-foot, the 20 feet to the 10 foot, if they were to go the 20 feet, could they meet the requirement for a smaller home?
If they reduce the actual area, they probably could, depending on the shape that they make it.
Well, okay. Is that because of the septic system that they would be required? That was the reasoning for them to push it back.
Yes, they're required to push it back 10 feet, and so they moved it back 10
So even with a smaller home, they would still have to do that, would they not?
Yeah, so the Department of Health required the septic and drain field in the front yard, so that wouldn't change.
Okay.
So no matter what, they have to accommodate that.
So denying him variance 2 would basically deny him any kind of development on that lot.
They would be forced to adhere to 20 feet in the rear and the required front as well. So
So they wouldn't be able to put it in there.
not the house that they currently have planned.
Okay. All right, let me rephrase that then. Is there any configuration that they could put in a home and meet that 20-foot setback and also give the additional setback on the front yard for the septic system? Or an on-site system, I should say.
Yeah, if they reduce the size of it, they could reduce the 10-foot rear yard to 20 feet to meet it. Just reducing the size of
Okay,
the
that was
structure.
my question. Okay. Okay, any other discussion on the motion?
Yes, I have a question. Thinking of the applicant, and I noticed, in the staff report, according to staff, all criteria, just checking again, all were said that they met. which is fine. I get that. But I'm concerned, did you have any discussions with them after that? Because I'm thinking, if you're not familiar with this process, if you get this and you hear from staff that they've approved everything, the average person might think, well, I don't need to show up because it's been approved by staff for everything. There's no question. So I'm just wanted to know the discussions that were held with the property owners.
So whenever they submit their due public notice and they pick up their poster and the letter that goes out, they are told that it's highly recommended. We can't require somebody to show up, but we highly recommend that applicants are present for the commission in case they do have questions.
All I wanted to hear, that when they, so that was said in person to them when they picked up the packet.
Yes, ma'am.
Great, thank you.
Okay. In the event that they got tied up for whatever reason, can we postpone the vote to the end of the meeting?
Yes? So.
Are you okay with that, Ms. Bush? Okay. Because I'll give them an opportunity at least to the end of the meeting for the vote, okay? So we'll do that.
Don't you think they would call and they were behind?
Not necessarily. Who you going to call?
No.
Well, even call the land development, I mean,
Yeah.
call the office and
Well,
come here.
Who's going to answer?
I've been the rookie.
Yeah,
I mean.
you have not.
I've learned not to be the rookie.
Okay,
That.
but
I
I'm
just don't want
fine.
to take a vote and then have them show up here and then.
Okay, yeah, I'm fine with that.
That's the only thing. I'd just like to postpone it.
I'll make a motion to postpone case V25-062 until the end of our new business.
I'll second.
The vote?
Yep.
Okay. All those in favor of that motion signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay, we'll postpone the vote until the end of the meeting. Okay. Now we're going to move into the new business. Ms. Shelley, could I get you the first case, please?
Yes, sir?
Go
Okay.
ahead. Yep.
Case number V-25-056, a variance to the accessory structure requirements on rural agriculture estate, RA zoned property.
Thank you, Ms. Shelley. And this is Ms. Tucker.
Good morning, members. So firstly, I'd like to make a couple corrections to the staff report. On page 3 at the bottom of paragraph 1 and the fourth sentence in the third paragraph, it states it's a rear yard setback. That is a typo. We are talking about a side yard setback today. And lastly, the staff recommendation in the report states approval. However, it should be stated for denial as they failed to meet criteria 1, 2, and 3. So to go ahead and get into the presentation, the applicant is requesting a side yard setback variance from 25 feet to 15 feet for a proposed 964 square foot accessory structure. The parcel is zoned a rural agricultural estate and meets the zoning requirements as the lot is 2.5 acres in size, and even with the new proposed structure, they will still be under the 35% lot coverage. The applicant's proposing this location because he also intends to build a 10 by 10 well cover. He has equipment that's currently in the side yard. It's next to the location. So in addition to the original 864 square foot accessory structure, he plans to build a 10 by 10 roof lean-to that would cover the well equipment. There is an existing accessory structures that are located in the rear of the property. However, after staff conducted a site visit on August 28th and observed wet conditions as had been raining that week, the applicant also showed where there were hard water lines, where there was over 12 inches of flooding during the Milton hurricane and previous hurricanes before. So after speaking with the applicant, he decided that the side yard would be the highest location, as even our topography maps show that there's about an 8-foot decrease in change in the rear yard. And there's also a canal at the rear of the property as well that the water drains off to. However, staff does recommend denial for the variance as it fails to meet criteria 1, 2, and 3. However, if PLDRC finds that the applicant has presented substantial evidence, staff has recommended 2 conditions for approval. Environmental permitting has also reviewed this case and did not object the variance, and I'm available for questions.
Thank you, Ms. Tucker. Any questions for staff? Is the applicant present? Good morning, sir.
Morning,
Can I
Michael
get-
Mooney, it's 4054 Swamp Deer Road.
All right. You've heard the staff report. Anything you'd like to add to it?
No, sir. The reason for the location also is there, because the accessory building's in the back, there is a road. I bought the house 2 years ago. The older couple lived in it, that never really drove around. They just drove in the driveway. There was at one time a circular driveway in this property. I'm just trying to put a building someplace where I'm not disturbing, disturbing the least amount of property, trying to get this done. So that's basically what it is.
Okay. All right, Ms. Bush, you had a questions for the applicant?
Yes. Are you having to remove any trees to put in the structure?
No. What happened was in Milton, I lost a tree, 2 trees in the front. One was hit by lightning, and then another one, the whole top of it got ripped out. So when I had the arborist there, he recommended taking down the pine tree by lightning because it was going to deteriorate. So other than that, I don't have to take down. If I can't put it here, to go in the backyard, I do have to take trees to get around. So I'm trying to do this with the least amount of disturbance to the environment.
Understood. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Any other questions for the applicant? Okay, hearing none, we do have any public participation for?
No, sir.
Hearing none, we're going to close the floor for public participation, open up for commission discussion or a motion.
I'll be glad to make a motion.
Go ahead, Ms. Shelley.
I move that we approve case number V-25-056, subject to the 2 staff recommended conditions.
I'll second.
I got a motion on the floor to approve V-25-056 with the 2 staff conditions from Ms. Shelley and a second from Ms. Bush. Any discussion on the motion? All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries unanimously. Okay, Ms. Shelley, could I get the next case, please?
Yes, sir. Case number V-25-061, variance to the accessory structure requirements on urban single-family residential R4 zoned property.
Thank you, Ms. Shelley. Mr. Harris, this one's yours.
The applicant is requesting variances to the accessory structure requirements to allow a residential addition, in-ground swimming pool, and an attached deck within the waterfront yard on R4 zone property. Variance 1 is to reduce the required waterfront yard from 25 feet to 13 feet for a proposed residential home addition. Variance 2 is to reduce the required waterfront yard from 25 feet to 17 feet for a proposed in-ground swimming pool. Variance 3 is to reduce the required waterfront yard from 25 feet to 9 feet 7 inches for a proposed attached deck. Variance 4 is to permit accessory structures within the rear yard of an atypical lot. The subject property is a 24,829 square foot parcel that fronts Cali Carmen and backs into Cypress Lake. It contains a single family residence built in 2001 and a small storage shed. The property is an atypical lot with wetlands and flood zones A and X along the rear boundary. The applicant is proposing to extend the residence for additional living space and construct a 12 by 24 foot pool and attached deck behind the home. The application of the 25-foot waterfront yard requirement leaves about 1,162 square foot of buildable area behind the home. All proposed improvements are located within a 25-foot wetland buffer. Environmental permitting reviewed this request and had no objection, provided all wetland permitting requirements are met. Staff recommendation is to deny variance requests 1 through 4, as the variances fail to meet the criteria for granting said variances. Should the PLDRC determine that the criteria are met, staff recommends the following conditions: that the variances are limited to the size and location of the proposed home, pool, and deck as shown on the variance site plan. That variances 1 through 4 should not apply to any other existing or future structures. That any new structures constructed or installed on site should be required to apply for an additional variance. And that the applicant should obtain the wetland alteration permit prior to permit issuance and construction. I'm available for any questions.
Thank you, Mr. Harris. Any questions for staff? Ms. Bush?
Yes, thank you, Chairman. Did the neighbor receive a variance for the construction of their pool? Do we know if we have one on file?
They did not.
They did not?
It's not on file.
Okay. Do we know if it's within the setback or not?
It's within the setback.
It is within the setback?
Yes.
Okay. And then is there any mitigation requirements for building into the buffer?
Scott Ashley for the record. As far as let me just back on the older, the property to the south, that pool, that's an older home. If I believe it was built in the 70s along with the pool, so that would have been different setback standards that we have today. And if there's any impact to the wetland or wetland buffer, there would be addressed during the building permitting process.
Okay. Thank you.
Any other questions for staff? Is the applicant present? Good morning, sir. If I could get both of you to give your name and addresses if you're going to present this morning.
Morning, Chair. Council members, Jose Avin Garcia, 2110 Cali Carmen.
Okay,
Jose Alvarez, 1154 Treadway Drive, Deltona.
okay. You've heard the staff report. Anything you'd like to add to that?
I do have a clarification regarding the wetland buffer. Not all the addition is on the wetland buffer. It does all along the edge of the wetland buffer, but not in area, if that
Okay.
makes sense.
All right. Anything else you'd like to add? Go ahead.
Yes, sir. I would like to add that the proposed build here is, the purpose of it is for my son therapy. He's diagnosed with mild cerebral palsy and autism. The area, the additional room is not, it's a gym area, therapy area, padded floors, along with the pool. And he's the architect for the blueprints and all that. And the pool, you just see the pool there, but on the pool blueprints, it has a flattened area for therapy and, you know, what entails therapy, aquatic therapy, and all that stuff for the council to take in consideration when you vote. Thank you very much. I have the IEP, Individualized Education Program, for him here in George Marks, and his diagnosis with mild cerebral palsy, autism, spasticity, leg spasticity, and so on and so forth. I can provide for the record if necessary.
Yeah, I'm not sure we can, Mr. Soria, medical records.
I would not recommend that anything to do with any medical records.
Right, that's-
And I'm just, you're familiar with variances? It should pertain to the property, not to the person.
Right. Right. Okay.
Thank
So I understand where you're coming from, but unfortunately, we're not supposed to consider that. Ms. Bush?
Yeah, are you having to bring in fill dirt for the addition, the home addition? Is it gonna
Fill
be-
dirt only within the confines, meaning it's gonna be a stem wall foundation.
Yeah.
Yeah, so it's gonna be within that building footprint area.
So you're doing stem wall, you're not bringing in fill into
No,
the
we're not
wetland?
bringing in fill.
Okay. And then my second question, did you look at, because I see that the parcel actually juts out, I guess, to the north. I know that you have the septic drain field there, but have you considered moving the pool at least there, so it's the minimum variance necessary instead of putting the pool in the wetland and in that buffer?
So again, it goes back to accessibility from the home, since they have to walk across the drain field, and also there's a lot of vegetation and trees in that area that we're trying not to impact. Because with this addition, we don't have to take down any trees or anything.
Okay, thank you.
Okay. Anything else you'd like to add?
No, sir.
Okay. Do we have any public participation forums for this case?
No, sir.
Does any of the commissioners have any other questions for the applicant? Okay, sir. We're going to close the floor for public participation and open up for commission discussion or motion.
On case V 25061 to approve variances 1, 2, 3, and 4 with the 4 staff recommended conditions, I believe.
I'll second that.
I got a motion on the floor to approve variances 1, 2, 3, and 4 for variance V25061 with the 4 staff conditions for Mr. Costa. Oh boy, I just lost my vote. I'll be right with you.
Sure.
And a second for Mr. Urson. Any discussion on the motion? All those in favor, Ms. Bush.
Yes, thank you, Chairman. I am very concerned of the fact that they're building this in the wetlands. I'll be honest, I'm going to be a no vote for that because I am concerned that not just the fact that you're implicating wetlands, but if we get significant flooding, you might have damage to that structure, and I am concerned about what that's going to do long term. I have an autistic adult brother, so I empathize with you. I totally understand your situation. Our pool is not next to our house. He has to walk in order to get to it, and he is an IEP, and it is a part of his therapy to do that as well, right, to swim, and that's one of the only things that he really does. So I empathize with your situation, but because of the fact that this is, an impact to wetlands is the reason why I'm going to be a no vote specifically. Thank you.
Okay, Ms. Bush. Ms. Craig.
I also have an issue with the encroachment into the wetlands. I think that that's something that should be avoided if at all possible. So I would vote no on that as well.
Okay. Okay. I'm looking at this, and the actual encroachment is for the pool. Is that not correct?
Yep.
On the wetland setback? Okay. All right. Any other discussion, Ms. Shelley?
I'm really wrestling this myself, but I still have that same concern as mentioned by my 2 colleagues, and if they could, because we have to treat everyone on the playing field, as we said, with other issues that are really tugging. But if someone did not have that, now we have to look at these all equally. So I myself am leaning towards a no vote on that as well.
Okay. I understand the concerns into the wetlands, and if this was a building, it'd be different as far as I'm concerned. What I do note that is they would have to obtain the wetland alteration permit. And we're looking at 17 foot on well, not quite 17, that's to the structure, to the wetlands. And it's not in the actual wetlands.
Yeah, Mr. Chair, if I may, that's what I want to clarify here. So I would confuse. That's why I'm looking back at this map. So we're not touching the wetlands at all. What they're touching is a wetland buffer.
Correct.
Okay. Yep.
Yeah, that's where I'm.
So there's nothing that's actually, we're not impacting the wetlands, just the buffer itself.
That was the comment I was
Yeah,
making.
got it.
And also, we're looking at the pool, a portion of the pool there. Okay. All right, any other discussion on the motion? Okay, I've got a motion on the floor to approve variances 1, 2, 3, and 4 with the 4 staff conditions. I think I've already said this. For V25061 for Mr. Costa and a second for Mr. Urson. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed?
Aye.
1 opposition?
6-1.
Okay. Motion carries 6-1.
Okay.
All right, Mr. Chair. We did receive word from Miss Bryant for V25062. She did have an emergency this morning, and she is going to try to attend later in the meeting.
Okay.
Okay. What we may do on this, and something to consider, we can do that, is we can postpone the vote to our next meeting if you'd like. That's something that's for you guys to think about,
Yeah.
and we'll go from there.
Give it to the end of the meeting and decide then.
To the vote.
Yeah, for the vote, yeah.
Yeah. And at that time, any of the member can ask for, during our discussion on the vote, ask the applicant any additional information.
Got it.
Am I correct in saying that, Mr. Soria?
Yes, so you would have to, essentially, you'd have to reopen the applicant's ability to present.
Yeah, it'd have to be done by one of us.
Yes.
Yes. Mhm. During the discussion, correct?
Yes, so if you can hold a meeting, you can hold the decision today, or you can continue it to a date certain, preserve the notice to, take in additional evidence.
Well, we've already got it
or-
for the end of the day, so we'll go from there and see what happens. Okay. Ms. Shelley, can I get the next case, please?
Yes, sir. Case number V-25-063, a variance to the minimum yard requirements on urban single-family residential R4 zoned property.
Thank you, Ms. Shelley. And Ms. Costa? Okay.
Good morning,
I was
members.
wondering who this lady was.
No relation.
Okay, this one's yours.
Thank you. The applicant is requesting a variance to reduce his north rear yard setback from 20 feet to 14 feet for a proposed attached screen room. The property was developed with a 1,894 square foot residence, which is located towards the center of the property. This is a legal conforming lot, interior lot, as part of the West Highlands subdivision, with platted alleys to the north and to the west, 15 foot to the north and 25 feet to the west. Property is zoned R4. Minimum requirements for setbacks are front yard 25, rear yard 20, side yard 20 feet combined, minimum of 8 on any one side. The lot is 7,500 square feet and 75 foot in width. Environmental permitting has reviewed his application and has no objection. Staff is recommending to deny the variance because he's only met 2 out of the 5 criteria. And we do have 2 conditions if we do decide positively to approve it.
Okay. Any questions for staff? Ms. Bush?
Thank you, Chairman. Have other neighbors received a variance for similar structures in the neighborhood?
Yes, there was a variance on 10th Street several years ago it was a 5-foot reduction in the rear yard setback.
Okay. Could the applicant vacate the alley in the rear yard?
Yes, he could vacate both alleyways actually and increase the lot as well, so he could meet the setback that way. His concern was time, because it does take a longer period of time to vacate that. He is placing the screen room on the existing, there is a existing concrete slab already there.
Have others around this property vacated the alleys?
Not around this property, but several in the neighborhood, yes.
Okay, thank you.
Ms. Gregg?
Yeah, I was wondering about the existing concrete pad, if it was permitted or if a permit was needed for that.
A permit wouldn't have been needed for that. That is flat work. It's a step out from the back of the rear of the home.
Thank you.
Okay. Any other questions for staff? Okay, is the applicant present? Can I get your name and address for the record, please?
Absolutely. My name is Robert Wright, and I live at 1785 16th Street.
I'm Angela Wright, 1785 16th Street.
Okay, you've heard the staff report. Anything you'd like to add to it?
No, I just, the only thing I want to add is that the setback, that alley is there. That's not anything that we could do anything about that alley, other than now we know we can vacate the alley, but that would take quite a bit of time to do that. So we were just hoping that we could get the variance to build the screen and then go back and vacate the alley if we needed to do that.
Any questions for the applicant? Okay. Do we have any public participation forms for this case? Ms. Ray?
No, sir.
Okay. All right, we're going to close the floor for public participation and open up for commission discussion or motion.
I'll be glad to make a motion.
Strong enough this morning.
Case, that we approve case number V-25-063, subject to the staff recommended conditions.
Well, how many is
Two.
those?
Two.
Second.
Okay, I got a motion on the floor to approve V-25063 with the two staff conditions from Ms. Shelley and a second from Mr. Costa. Any discussion on the motion? Ms. Bush?
I have a question for staff. What's the approximate time for vacation of an easement or an alley or something like that?
Scott Ashley for the record. Usually it takes 4 to 6 months because of the timing when they make application. They have to send notices or letters to all the utility providers to make sure they have no objections. Basically, they're determining, do they need that alley? Are they using that alley for any utility purposes? Once the letters come back and submitted to staff, then there's an internal staff review to make sure, planning, road and bridge, whoever may need or think we need to keep portions of that or maybe waive it or vacate it, but maybe require an easement over it, something like that. So it goes to that staff review, and then there's at least, I believe, 2 public notices in the paper before it gets to county council.
Okay, thank you.
Any other discussion on the motion? Okay, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries unanimously. Ms. Shelley, could I get the next case, please?
Yes, sir. Case number V-25-065, variances to the accessory structure requirements on transitional agriculture A3 and resource corridor RC zoned property.
Thank you. Mr. Jaskula, this is yours.
Warning, the applicant is requesting variances to reduce the front yard setback from 40 feet to 29 feet and to reduce the west side yard setback from 25 feet to 10 feet for the a 1,000 square foot accessory structure. The property is zoned A3, which requires a minimum setback of 40 feet from the front and rear and 25 feet from sides and 20 feet from waterfronts. The subject parcel is 1.08 acres in size and abuts Spruce Creek to the north. It is located on the north side of Lithia Street, approximately 449 feet west of its intersection with Creek Shore Trail. The site is currently developed with a roughly 2,871 square foot single family residence built in 1978 and is located towards the southwestern portion of the property, and a 1,174 foot unpermitted cottage with a garage to the east. The property also has other structures that staff could not determine if they were permitted. There is an in-ground pool behind the residence on the western portion, 2 sheds in the eastern portion, a gazebo behind the principal structure, and a deck and boat slip along the northeastern portion of the property. The owner previously received a variance for the same accessory structure, case number V25022, approved in February 2025. The variance allowed the reduction of the west side yard setback from 25 feet to 10 feet, which included conditions limiting the variance to the proposed accessory structure, as shown on the approved site plan. An expansion or relocation not meeting the A3 zoning setbacks would require a new variance. The applicant is now proposing to shift the accessory structure further south into the front yard, which results in the structure encroaching into the 40-foot front yard setback. This change makes the previous variance inapplicable since the relocation does not comply with the original conditions of approval. The previous variance expressed a special condition of being constrained by the Spruce Creek and flood zone location. In this case, there is no hardship or special condition as the current request result in the self-imposed circumstances related to the relocation. The accessory structure could have remained in the approved location without triggering another variance for the same structure. Environmental permitting reviewed the variance request and had no objection. However, the project structure must comply with the applicable environmental regulations of the Land Development Code. Staff recommends denial for the variance request as they fail to meet 3 of the 5 criteria. However, should PLDRC find that again provided substantial evidence for approval, staff recommends 2 conditions for consideration. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Shadul. Okay, any questions for staff?
Yep.
Mr. Costa.
Yeah, so a quick question I have for you. Do you determine there's a better location for this on this site, for the structure?
The approved location.
I'm sorry?
The originally approved location.
The original improved? Okay. All right. Thanks.
Ms. Bush?
Just out of curiosity, does Volusia County have any type of policy for unpermitted structures when an applicant is asking for permits for a new structure on site? Do you require them to bring the unpermitted structure up to code, or?
So our current policy is to identify the structures, let the applicant know that should they need to replace them, they have to meet the code if they do replace the structures. We want to make a record that we've identified the structures that are not conforming, and it's up to the applicant to just determine whether they want to include it in the application or not.
Okay, but there is no, you don't put a halt on them requesting additional permitting until the unpermitted structures
No,
have
ma'am.
been permitted? Okay.
Okay, any other questions for staff?
I'll just add that there's been no code compliance, no complaints, and since that's really where it comes from, we're going to address it, like Steve said, we'll note it, but we haven't received any complaints, so there's no code enforcement process going on right now for us to address it.
Understood. In my previous employer, that was something that we required, was to make sure that any unpermitted structures were brought up to code.
Okay, Mr. Costa.
Yeah, my memory isn't great, so can you help me out here? It says February 25th, we approved the previous variance. Was that also for a 1,000 square foot structure, or was it a smaller structure?
It was the same structure.
Structure?
They're just shifting it more towards the south.
Okay. And I guess we'll find out why when they get up here. All right, thank you.
Any other questions for staff? Is the applicant present? Could you come forward, please? And if I could get your name and address for the record.
Yes, Charles Armitage, 2769 Letha Street, New Smyrna Beach.
All right, and I'll wait for your partner there.
I'm sorry.
Go ahead.
Mike McDaniel. I'm the contractor helping him build the building.
Okay, you want to give your address?
This address?
No,
your address.
2070 Lake Hires Road, DeLeon Springs,
All
Florida.
right. You've heard the staff report. Anything you'd like to add to that?
Yeah, so we got to move
Get
the
closer
building.
to the mic, please.
We got to move the building away from the property line. We won the variance last month. There was just a big oak tree in the way. Didn't want us to cut down the oak tree. So now that we moved that forward, he got all the power underground from the up top, put underground, got it all ready. When we stake it all out, get it all ready, can't get another car out of the other garage. So it just needed to be backed up 10 more feet so he could use his house garage for his cars and then his other cars and four-wheelers and stuff in the others. So there was just no way to make one garage work with the other garage.
Okay. All right, any questions, Mr. Costa?
Yep. All right, so I'm looking at the sketch that's up on the screen above you. Yes. So before we were shifted in more towards the driveway, so you're saying that that's the reason you're shifting it over to the left on the picture?
Yeah.
So you can get 2 cars out of that 2-car garage of the existing house?
And where it's at now, it's too close to the garage, so it needed to come to the street more. That's the other variance we're applying for today.
Okay.
It was like 10 feet.
Yes.
I was going to say, you guys are gluttons for punishment. You were just here in February and came back again.
That's right.
Once we put the vehicle in front of the garage, you couldn't get out of the other garage.
How is this garage being accessed? From the top bottom or from the left right?
From left to right, from the
Okay,
40-foot
so
side.
so it's a side entry, or rather front entry garage there facing it. All right, and which means you're gonna have to put more driveway there I'm assuming, or Shell Road? What are you going to put in to access it?
Nothing's coming from the road. It will be coming in from the side to the original driveway.
From the side to the original driveway.
So see where it says the 40?
Yep.
We'll be coming in that way.
Okay, so that's the access point.
Yes, that's the access.
All right, thank you.
Okay, any other questions for the applicant? Ms. Craig?
So the entrance there, you will or you will not be adding additional concrete driveway to enter the new structure?
We should not. I think there's like at one point we'll be adding like 2 feet of concrete just to go up into the garage from his original driveway. Because his driveway circles around. Isn't that correct? I mean, if I
Yes,
remember,
it's
not
really
much.
nothing more than what was before.
Yes. Yeah.
For the concrete.
Even though it varies significantly from what's on this drawing, right?
Yeah, it'd be moved down 10 feet.
Commissioner, if you'd look at page 3 that has the drawing, it depicts what was approved, the previous variance, and the lower part of that page, and what you see on the screen now shows what they're asking.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah, so they've shifted from 40 to 20. Yeah, okay.
Okay, Ms. Bush?
So for clarification, you are not expanding the driveway to access the structure since it's been shifted 10 feet to the south, because on the site plan,
Yes.
it shows that you only are accessing, I guess, the northern bay, if you will.
Yes, that's
And so you're not going to have any access to the southern part of this. You're only going to have one ingress egress. So it's not a 2-bay garage. It's just 1 bay.
It is. It's going to have 2 garage doors. So is this the concrete here, right?
Right.
Yeah. So
We're probably coming over maybe.
So
3
you
or
are
4
having
foot.
So we
put
may
in more
add some more
concrete.
concrete. Yes. I'm
Okay.
sorry. Yeah.
That's what I assumed. Thank you.
When it was back, it wasn't as much concrete. That's right. I
Okay,
can see it now.
Any other questions for the applicant? All right, do we have any public participation for us for this case?
No, sir.
All right, we're going to close the floor for public participation, open up for commission discussion. I would like to add that this is, they're asking for 29 feet and residential is 25. They're asking for 10 feet and the side yard and the residential is 5. So here we go penalizing an A3 property for being agriculture. That's my point of view on that.
Are we closed with floor?
Yeah, we closed the floor.
I'll make a motion, case V 25-065. We approve variances 1 and 2 with
2 conditions.
2 staff conditions.
Second.
I don't know who got that second in. All right, I've got a motion on the floor to approve variances 1 and 2 for V 25-065 with the 2 staff conditions for Mr. Costa and a second for Ms. Shelley. Any discussion on the motion?
Yeah, inherently, I don't have a problem with moving this, especially with the, you're right, the A3s always get the brunt of it.
Yeah.
I don't think it's going to be injurious to anybody at this point on this particular site, so that's my comment.
Any other comments? Ms. Bush?
I have a question for staff. Is there a limit for the number of accessory structures on an A3 property?
No, there isn't. It's based on the minimum floor area, maximum lot coverage standard of the zoning classification.
Okay, thank you.
Okay. Any other comments? All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries unanimously.
Hope not to see you back.
Ms. Shelley, can I get the next case, please?
Yes, sir. Case number V-25-068. Variances to the accessory structure requirements on transitional agriculture A4 zoned property.
Ms. Tucker, this one's yours.
Good morning again, Commissioners. So the applicant is requesting 2 variances. Man, it's hard to drive and talk at the same time. Sorry, bear with me. A rear yard setback from 40 feet to 30 feet and a side yard setback from 25 feet to 15 feet for proposed 1,800 square foot detached workshop. The parcel is zoned transitional agricultural A4 and meets the zoning requirements as the lot is 3 acres in size and will be under the 35% maximum lot coverage even with the new proposed structure. The applicant is proposing this location because it's one of the most level spots and will require minimal tree removal. The applicant also submitted one letter of support, which is on page 10 of your staff report, from the adjacent neighbor to the west who would be most affected by this proposed location. Staff also conducted a site visit on September 15th and observed elevation changes throughout the rear of the property. And there's also an existing driveway parking pad on the west side of the lot that would line up to the entrance to the proposed structure. Environmental permitting has reviewed this case and did not have any objections. However, staff does recommend denial for the variances as they fail to meet criteria 1 through 4. However, if PLDRC finds that the applicant presented substantial evidence, staff has recommended 2 conditions for approval, and I am available for questions.
Thank you, Ms. Tucker. Any questions for staff? Is the applicant present? Good morning, sir. Could I get your name and address for the record?
Yes, sir. Neil Peabody, 1895 Twin Oaks in DeLand, Florida.
Okay, you've heard the staff report. Anything you'd like to add to it?
I think Ms. Tucker did an excellent job, and I'm just trying to save a few trees and not deal with the changes in elevation that would be further towards the east on the lot.
Okay. Ms. Bush, you had a question?
More of a comment. I just wanted to thank you for working with your neighbor, first and foremost. That's somewhat, at least in my experience, uncommon to go do that prior to making that submittal and then just making the minimum impact on your lot. I appreciate that.
Okay.
Thank you, sir.
All right. Let me see if we have any other questions for the applicant. Do we have any? Okay. Do we have any public participation forms?
No, sir.
We're going to close it for public participation, open for commission discussion or a motion.
I'll be glad to make a motion that we approve case number V-25-068, subject to the 2 staff recommended conditions on page 5.
Second.
Okay, I've got a motion to approve variance V-25-068, variances 1 and 2 with the 2 conditions from staff, from Ms. Shelley, and a second from Mr. Urson. Any discussion on the motion? Hearing none, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
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 Any opposed? Motion carries unanimously. Ms. Shelley, could I get the next case, please?
Yes. Case number Z-25-011, rezoning from the rural residential RR zoning classification to the rural agriculture A2 zoning classification.
Thank you, Ms. Shelley. Mr. Harris, this one's yours.
The applicant is requesting a rezoning from the rural residential zoning classification to the rural agriculture zoning classification. The intent is to allow farm animals on the property for personal use. The subject property is 9.81 acres and located on the south side of Mud Lake Road in the De Leon Springs area. The property is vacant and part of the Gomez unrecorded number 5 with a vested rights determination confirming it as a legal lot of record. Surrounding zoning includes R3 and A4 to the north and the east, A2 to the south, and RA rural agriculture to the west. The rezoning aligns with the adjacent agriculture uses and provides a transition between residential and agricultural development. The future land use designation is rural, which allows 1 dwelling unit per 5 acres. The A2 classification is compatible with this designation. The property lies within the De Leon Springs BMAP and priority focus area. Environmental permitting has reviewed this request and had no objection, provided all land development code and BMAP standards are met. Staff recommends forwarding this rezoning to county council for final action with a recommendation of approval. Any questions?
Thank you, Mr. Harris. Any questions for staff? Is the applicant present? Could I get you to come forward, please?
Morning.
Good morning. Could I get your name and address for the record?
Romelia Gomez, 370 Alcazar Avenue, De Leon Springs.
Okay, you've heard the staff report. Anything you'd like to add to that?
No, sir.
Okay, any questions for the applicant? Okay, Ms. Craig.
This sounds very cute, having farm animals.
I'm sorry, Ms. Craig, your mic's not on.
Yeah,
There you go. I like the idea of having this lot dedicated to animals, but will there be any structures necessary for equipment associated with animals being there?
We would probably build, for now, a small pole barn, but that's about it for now. Maybe in the future, a home.
Okay. Out of curiosity, what kind of animals?
Just a couple of cows, some goats. That's been my husband's dream to have, something like that. So that's the reason why we purchased the property.
Ms. Bush, did you have a question? I noticed you were.
It was addressed. It's just the
Okay.
type of animals and if they were going to build on the property in the future.
We do have some public participation forms for this case, so I'll give them a chance to make their comments and give you a chance for rebuttal when they're done. Okay?
Thank you very much.
All right. Ray Bensel, if you can come forward. Good morning, sir. Could I get your name and address for the record?
Yeah, Raymond Bensel, 2060 Mud Lake Road, De Leon Springs, Florida.
All right. You had a comment you'd like to add to this case?
More questions than commenting, sir. Under this A2 rural agricultural classifications, there are a lot of choices that what they could do to the property, what they could use it for.
Right.
Wouldn't they be able to just flip on a dime and 2 months down the road, instead of a couple of cows, there's 90 cows and 14 donkeys? Is there anything stopping that?
As long as they're
Or
within
put
the-
or to put in a fernery with noisy diesel engines, or what? They have so many choices that seem to be they could do without any further actions.
Unless it's a special exception, they could do with the choices that you have in that zoning.
So it doesn't,
Now, some of those are special exceptions that are in that list,
right?
but the ones that aren't, yes, to answer your question, they could, once it's rezoned.
So what, if you
As
gave,
long as they meet the guidelines of what they're trying to do.
so it doesn't really matter what the owners say today, they could do something totally different.
The zoning goes with the property, you're absolutely
So-
right. It does
so
not go with the.
By the end of the
property
year, it might be a landfill. That's on the list of accepted things.
That's on the special exceptions, though.
Yes, that would. Yes, landfills and excavations would, to the extent that it's a borrow pit, as in they're trucking, fill off-site and selling it, would have to go through this board for a special exception process. So, but if it's anything related to agriculture and accessory to it, that goes into an accessory agricultural use.
So if they have these cows or whatever animals, it appears that they could actually butcher and sell these, which would almost be like a commercial property.
Whatever on is on your list there. And it'd be, Mr. Costa, you mentioned
Personal use is what the.
Personal
Yep,
use.
that's what it says on here. That's what they're using it for.
So,
But correct me if I'm wrong, can we apply that condition that it has to be personal use when we were
No.
doing this rezoning? Yeah, so I don't think that matters.
No, we
Yeah.
do not do conditional rezonings.
Right.
You can, it's the zoning district is what you're considering, and everything good, everything bad about that zoning district.
So it doesn't matter if it's personal use today, it could be for business tomorrow.
That's a big concern for me, being adjacent to them on a small country road, basically.
well, your concern is noted. I mean, that's why.
I'm assuming that you did get my email.
Yes.
Okay. One other thing, I think it's a misprint. We received this. All the adjacent landowners received this. And it states at the bottom that you would accept all comments through October 16th, which is today. But back here, it says you only accept comments to the 15th. So I'm asking you if you would accept. I know there's at least one other person that objected to this and emailed last night. So I'd like you to accept that because it does say the 16th on ours.
If we receive the email, we'll accept it. What is the meeting today, as of right now?
As of right now, you'll
Right.
accept it?
Correct.
And this isn't, because this is a rezoning, this is not the final hearing.
Correct.
This goes to county council. This commission makes a recommendation, takes into account all citizen comments received and, stated verbally at this meeting, and it all goes to our elected county council, who will make the final decision.
That's not this group of people. This is somebody else
Yes.
in the same place.
Yes.
Correct.
Will I be getting notification of what you recommended?
Will you be getting the notification?
Yeah, of what your recommendation was to the
No,
other
it's in
council?
public record, though.
The county council will get our recommendation.
Yeah, they will get it.
They will. but
They
I
will see it.
If you wait, we will make a recommendation possibly today.
Oh, today.
Yes.
Oh, I see. Okay. Okay, thank you.
Mr. Costa? you
Yes,
had a-
before I let you go, that email, I read the email online, but it's not in my packet. So just for,
You want a copy?
no, they'll take care of it. Where exactly do you live adjacent to this property? You on Spencer?
No, I'm on Mud Lake Road,
Mud Lake, okay.
and I'm just east of it. I'm connected on the east edge.
So you touch their property line? Your property lines touch?
Yes, I touch it, and then behind me, the school touches it. There's a school that's also attached to this property, adjacent to it.
So on this picture that's up on the screen now, you are to the left of the subject property?
I don't know, I'm east.
It's to the right.
The school wraps around your property?
Yes.
All right. And while I got you, I have a question for staff real quick. Can you tell me the allowed density for R3?
Well, you're looking at the R3 requires a minimum lot size of 10,000 square feet. So you're looking about 4 units to the acre on the gross.
So on this 10-acre parcel, let's round it up, he could potentially have 40 houses on there? Is that right?
Well, on the gross, but if once you do,
Right.
stormwater and all that, it's going to
Okay,
be
so
less.
So what I'm proposing now to this gentleman here is, if you look at the density, this would be the most logical would be to change that zoning to R3 to match the one that's right that abuts it, the larger piece across the way, which could potentially put 30 to 40 homes on there versus 5 to 10 cows. So I think those are your two options. That's I just want to paint that picture for you because that's what sometimes people overlook that.
It's already subdivided into 4.
But it's currently RR, and it's 10 acres, I believe, 9.8 acres.
Something like that, yeah.
So if you applied it to if you look at the picture up there, you see that R3 touches the RR. The most logical combination would be to basically mirror what's up there on R3. My preference would to leave it in the agricultural vein, where you got possibly 1 home and maybe 5, 10 cows, as opposed to the opening that up to potentially a continuation of what Spencer Street is, which looks like to be about 4 units an acre. So those are the two. I'm saying I'm just showing you that potential.
Well, I certainly don't want 40 houses or
think so.
whatever, or mobile
Okay.
homes, whatever. That would be really bad.
All right.
So
I just want to make that point.
if they're
That's
going to
all.
have farm animals on this property, wouldn't it have to be totally fenced in?
They will have to contain their animals, yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, anything else?
Nope, I'm good. Thank
Okay,
you.
thanks.
Ms. Bush, you had a comment?
No, I think it was prior.
Okay. Mr. Dwayne Weldon. Good morning, sir.
Good morning.
You'd like to make a comment for this case?
Dwayne Weldon, 2050 Spencer Street. I own 330 feet of property that connects to the southeast corner. I bought the property 33 years ago. Basically, I grew up 8 miles north of Detroit. The reason I'm mentioning that is because of the noise and pollution and nonstop traffic, sirens. I bought this property because I wanted peace and quiet and solitude. Wasn't for the house. It was the location. It's residential property, not near large pumps, the ferneries, that make a lot of noise, or there's just it was quiet. At night, all you hear is crickets. So that's the reason I bought it, is I wanted solitude, and I don't want to, in the future, they could put a fernery there with a large diesel pump. They could put a large cattle farm, a large chicken farm, a large anything there that would be noisy, cause pollution, and I just don't want to. I would sell my property if something like that happened.
Mr. Costa, I'll let you take that.
Simple question. What do you prefer? Agricultural or residential on that lot? 40 homes or four cows?
It's plotted right now for 2.5 acre lots and 4 1 acre lots on Mud Lake Road. That's 6 lots. That's what I would prefer. The way it's plotted now. Doesn't have to be rezoned to get small subdivision lots in there. Doesn't have to be approved by the surrounding people to subdivide it into 40 lots. Does it have to be approved by somebody? Right now it's plotted as 2.5 acre lots and 4 1 acre lots.
Understood. They want to use this as an agricultural venture. And my point is they could easily, just as easily convert it to an R3 zone as opposed to an A2 zoning, which is going to give you a lot more potential density of homes versus the animals. That's my
But wouldn't that have to be approved by the surrounding neighbors?
Either way, yeah, it still have to come through in front of us and in front of the county council.
Okay.
Yeah.
So I'd wait till that rezoning
Okay.
happened and,
All right.
complain about that. But I just want peace and quiet. I don't want to smell cow poop, or chicken poop or anything like that. I've had peace and quiet for 33 years, and I just want it to continue. I think they should have bought agricultural property if they wanted agricultural property. Just my opinion.
All right, your comments to be noted, sir.
Thank you.
Thank you. Do we have any other public participation forms for this case?
No, sir.
Okay, I'll give the applicant a chance for rebuttal if you'd like to. You don't have to. Are you good? Got it. Okay. All right, we're going to close. Mr. Costa, did you have anything else? Okay. I'm going to close the floor for public participation and open up for commission discussion for a motion.
I'll make a motion on Z25-011 that we forward the rezoning application to the county council with a final action recommendation of approval.
I'll second that.
I've got a motion on the floor to forward the rezoning application case number Z25011 to the county council for the final action with recommendation of approval from Mr. Costa and a second from Mr. Urson. Any discussion on the motion? Ms. Bush.
Thank you, Chairman. I sympathize with the opposition. Next to me, and I'm in A4, so I'm a transitional agriculture zoning district. Someone bought that property and said they were just going to put a couple cows on it, and now it's a petting zoo. They have more animals on that property than what's substantially it could sustain. And after going through code enforcement a few times, there's really nothing I can do. And it is loud and noisy. I'm now up at all hours of the night, so I hear the chickens, I hear the pigs, I hear the cows. And unfortunately, they feed them well, but they just don't have a lot of space to move around. And there is nothing that prohibits someone from putting a massive amount of animals on a limited size lot other than the condition of their care. So I do understand where they're coming from, in the neighbor's point of view, where they're coming from, because I am dealing with that on a daily basis right now. I agree with Mr. Costa, though, that that's the lesser of two evils to downzone it essentially to the agriculture zone versus maybe leaving it where it's at. However, I think that I would have felt more comfortable with zoning it to that agriculture zone if the special exemptions weren't just stripped from council and from this board. And a lot of these agriculture uses are now by right, which again, I sympathize with the adjacent property owners. I'm really on the fence on this one. I was going to approve yes, but because of all the things that I just mentioned, I'm not sure if that's an appropriate use for this property, especially considering the residential in and around this area and how it looks like, to me, it is in a transitional type of period where there are single family homes coming in. And this might not be the best use for a large agriculture type use in the future. So that's my stance. Thank you.
Okay, any other comments on the motion?
I'll make a comment real quick.
Go ahead, Mr.
I know there was talk about not being close, not wanting to be close to fernery. Isn't that like a fernery, like 1,000 feet to the south? Looks like all covered terrain. Is that what I'm seeing?
I think there is.
And
I'm
overhead,
familiar. I'm
clear
familiar with
picture,
that
yeah,
plan.
looks like.
You talking about on
fernery.
Audubon?
Yeah.
Yeah, that is a fernery.
Yeah, that's what I was thinking.
Mhm.
Okay.
So my point here is that
You can't.
I mean, yeah, I sympathize to a certain extent, but it's like buying a piece of property next to an airport and complaining because the airplanes are landing. This is rural part of the county, and looking at the other things surrounding it. Yes, any one of these could be a farm, and any one of these could be a feedlot, or any one of these could be a potential chicken farm. But that is part of. You got to take the good with the bad when you live in the country. And animal sounds, to me, again, I have animals on my property. I didn't sleep a wink last night because one of the calves got out and the mother was mooing all night. So that is just part for the course.
You bought it in the rural area. Okay, I'm going to go ahead and get a vote on this.
Yep.
All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed?
Aye.
Motion carries 6-1 with Ms. Bush in dissent. Okay. Ms. Shelley, could I get the next case, please?
Yes, sir. Case number Z-25-012, rezoning from the neighborhood commercial B2 zoning classification to the general commercial B4 zoning classification.
Thank you, Ms. Shelley. And Ms. Ray, this one's yours.
Good morning. So the applicant is requesting to rezone a 2.39 acre parcel from the neighborhood commercial B2 zoning classification to the general commercial B4 zoning classification. The property is located on the southwest corner of Glenwood Road and North Spring Garden Avenue, also known as State Road 15A. The property has undergone multiple rezonings. In 1980, the parcel was zoned suburban single-family residential R1. In 1989, it was rezoned from R1 to a business plan unit development. The BPUD had a reverter provision in because the final site plan was never submitted. The rezoning changed back to that R1 zoning. And then in 2004, it was rezoned from the R1 to the current neighborhood commercial. The area contains a mixture of uses. To the north is a house of worship and a convenience store. To the east is a cemetery and undeveloped parcel. And then to the west and south is one unified undeveloped parcel. As previously stated, the property is located along State Road 15A, which is a thoroughfare arterial roadway, causing the property to fall within the county's thoroughfare overlay zone. The thoroughfare overlay zone makes the development on the property more restrictive as it requires all principal and accessory structures to remain under 30% maximum lot coverage, as compared to the maximum 35% in both B2 and B4 zoning without the overlay. The property does have a commercial future land use, and the B4 is assumed compatible, making the proposed rezoning consistent with the comprehensive plan. Environmental permitting has reviewed the proposed rezoning and had no objection. Staff recommends to forward the rezoning to County Council with a recommendation of approval. I'm available for questions.
Thank you, Ms. Ray. Mr. Costa.
Yeah, can we put that zoning map back up, please? The existing zoning timeline. The parcels to the north of it that are B4, were those rezoned about the same time that this one became a B2? Or has that always been B4?
I believe those have always been B4.
They've always been B4.
Yes,
So
sir.
the one that we're looking at right now was the one that changed from
R1 to B2.
From R1 to B. Okay.
Yes, sir.
All right. Thank you.
Okay. Any other questions for staff? Applicant present? Good morning, Mr. Ford.
Morning.
Could I get your name and address for the record?
Certainly. Alex Ford, 145 East Rich Avenue, the land, representing the applicant. The property is owned by a company named Webster Gas. I actually represent Corrigan Enterprises, which is the contract purchaser of the property. So the plan is basically my client wants to put in about 12,000 square foot specialty retail shops for his daughter. She's going to use it for trading cards, hobby shop, and then about 2,400 square feet would be used for some other use, maybe a coffee shop or something like that. The B2 allows all kinds of things, including convenience stores. Actually, back when the property was rezoned, Mr. Costa, at one point it had been zoned, I think it was BPUD, and that zoning lapsed. I represented the purchaser back then, a company called Gas Properties. We got rezoned for the purpose of putting a convenience store. That company ended up failing and sold the property to current owner Webster Gas. So it can be used for a C-store right now. It can't be used for specialty retail, which is what my client wants. The other limitation that is problematic for my client is there's a 5,000 square foot limitation on use. You can have all this retail or use, but it can't be, you could have like a 5,000 square foot here, 5,000 square foot here, all next to each other, but you can't have a big box. And so they want to have, I think, is it 9,400 square foot, Joe? I mean, for Kristen. 9,600 for the retail specialty. They couldn't do that under the existing B2 zoning. So those were the two motivations for asking for B4. I think the staff report notes, the difference in the traffic. It's not really significant. It's actually because of, I think, in my opinion, a glitch in the way they did the traffic study. I think it showed actually more traffic under the B2 than the B4. But what we're going to actually use the property for will be significantly less than anything that's shown there. If you have any questions, happy to answer them, and appreciate your time.
Mr. Costa.
Yeah, so I think a couple of things, and people looked at this initially that probably made them uneasy, is that the owner's a gas company. And since there's no site plan attached showing that you're going to potentially put down a strip center,
yes,
which
that's
is what
the plan.
what you're intending to. When I first read it, I'm thinking, are they going to put a gas depot there and sell either propane tanks or refill trucks? And because that's the intent of the zoning. So I think that a sketchy site plan would have probably been gotten you a little more
Sure, yes.
oomph at the beginning.
Good point, yes.
But yeah, that was just my only comment. Thank you.
We, like I said, Webster Gas, they're the current owner, but my client is actually the purchaser from them.
From them, okay.
So, yeah.
Ms. Bush?
Thank you, Chairman. Yeah, that was my comment to staff, actually, when reviewing this case, was what's the use, right? Because why ask for rezoning from B2 to B4? Because it seems like what you're projecting that you're going to put in is conducive with that transitional business, right, in the area. My question, I was confused as to the discussion on the traffic analysis, to be honest, because of the fact that I'm like, how could they submit something if the use wasn't provided? So how would they know the difference? Because the varying uses in B4 could be, higher traffic impact versus less traffic impact. And then with that, I also just wanted to ask staff, it wasn't included in the staff report. So if it is mentioned in the future, I would like those documents to review specifically, because I think it would have pointed out what that use was when that traffic impact analysis was completed. And that would have answered some of my questions.
And what I think, I'm not sure code requires it, but what staff looks at is basically like the last application you had, you look at all the uses and they say, max it out.
Right.
And so that's what it did. It maxed it as like a 50,000 square foot. And by the way, the current zoning allows the same size building, whatever that is. I think we determined it could go up to 50,000 square feet, regardless of which zoning category it is. So, but I think it was the earlier traffic study we submitted, which is not mentioned here, actually went to the intended use. But staff said that's really not what we look at. So we submitted a newer report that showed maxed out
And that was my assumption, was that it was for a potential convenience store or gas station,
Right.
which would have a lot more trip generation than, say,
Right.
a a specialty retail store or something along those nature. But yeah, I was just concerned about the use. And anyway, thank you.
Ms. Craig?
I'm sorry, what did you say the retail establishment was that you're putting in?
The plan is 9,600 square feet for it's a like trading cards and hobby shop. I keep wanting to say card and gift shop. It's trading cards and hobby shop. And then the remaining square footage is some other, like a coffee shop or something like that. They don't have that pinned down yet. The 9,600 is going to be for their use. The rest of it will be for, I guess, rental space.
It's a lot of trading cards.
And hobby. Yeah, trading card.
Okay, any other questions for the applicant? All right, I do have a public participation form, and I'll give you a chance for rebuttal.
Thank you.
All right, Michael Maggie? Good morning, sir. Could I get your
Morning,
name?
Michael
and address for the
McGee, 2331 Glenwood Plantation Road, DeLand, 32720. So a concern here is, again, it appears that you all are doing just rubber stamping, but that's fine. Background is 30 years in the military. I've been to Afghanistan and Iraq. The reason I mention that is I've helped rebuild governments and countries as part of my job duties and requirements. Little concern with environmental impact. I bet you all haven't been to that intersection in quite a while. It is raised ground as you look at B26A. I believe it's not B2C8. I'm sorry. Bravo. Well, it appears to be Bravo 4 Charlie A on one and Bravo 2 Charlie A. I guess that's the zoning differences. The concern here is multiple here, nonetheless, of which might be environmental. You've got a lot of, I think, I'm sure, irresponsible decision-making being done, and studies. When you talk about environmental impact and traffic conduction, if you look back towards, I believe that would be the north, as you go back towards Glenwood Road, there's a new development of 1 acre lots going back, and I believe there's 10 lots going on back there. Back down where there used to be the rink facility, there was a nursery there. Mattamy Homes, which is a Canadian company, expatriated obviously the funds that built those 40 or 80 homes that went in there on that nursery. The rink, I understand, is going to be a multi-purpose use for storage, possibly. That's what I understand. Bottom line is you're getting way too much traffic on 15A and the Glenwood transiting. Glad to hear it's not a gas station, because there's a Shell station 1.3 miles away from that intersection, as well as a Circle K back towards International Speedway Boulevard. The other concern might be, yes, we're mentioning 12,000 square feet for a multiple use facility. Concern might be that might grow into a dispensary. As we know, those are quite interesting little concepts. So you don't really ever know what the use is. Additionally, I see I'm running out of time, but if you're looking for retail space, the Brandywine facility, which houses the Winn-Dixie, has a lot of vacancy down there. So instead of these planning committees and the city council or county council just rubber stamping approval requests, why not we use the existing square footage that is available for usage? Across from that Winn-Dixie is an old Family Dollar. That's also vacant. Lots of other things that could be used, and just because a property can be zoned for commercial, light, medium, or heavy duty doesn't necessarily mean that that needs to be happening. Again, Florida sits on basically a sponge. You ought to consider yourselves with the environment and your responsibilities from that standpoint too. Again, I'm running out of time, but thank you for your attention to these concerns.
Thank you, sir. Okay, do we have any other public participation forms for this case?
No, sir.
All right, we're going to let Mr. Ford come back for rebuttal, and then...
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Again, Alex Ford. I'd like to speak with Mr. McGee afterwards and maybe hopefully can give him some assurance as to what the plan is. But as far as environmental issues, there's not an environmental issue here. This property can already be developed to the same extent that in either zoning category. So there is no environmental issue there. As far as the issue of a dispensary, I'm not sure if it's permitted under this. I haven't looked for that specific use, but my guess is that it would be much better to have a local owner developing this instead of having someone from outside of the community. Mr. Corrigan actually lives a little bit further north on 15A, or just off of 15A. So he's not real close, but he's a couple miles away. As far as the neighborhood, other developments that we're talking about, this is really a standalone consideration. I don't think you should be looking at the like the old skating rink. That's actually going to be a boat sales place. But you know, we need to look at each one of these individually, and this is, you know, we're permitted to do something much more intense than what is being proposed for this property once it's rezoned. If you have any questions, I'm happy to answer them.
Any other questions for the applicant? Okay.
Thank you.
We're going to close the floor for public participation, open up for commission discussion or motion.
If nobody has questions, I'm ready to make a motion.
Go ahead, Mr. Sixma.
I'm going to forward case Z25012 to the county council with a recommendation of approval.
I'll second that.
Okay, I've got a motion on the floor to forward the rezoning application, case number Z25012 to the county council for final action on recommendation of approval for Mr. Sixma and a second for Mr. Costa. Any discussion on the motion? Ms. Craig?
I did drive by this property, and I have to admit that I was somewhat surprised at the idea of taking down all the trees. It's a beautiful lot. It's completely covered with trees. It's quite lovely. It's it has a real strong residential feel, and I'm sympathetic to the opposition from an environmental standpoint. I think that it would be a disservice to take all those trees down, but I understand that if it's okayed, then that's what will happen to it. But I wonder about the neighbors and what people in the immediate area additionally would have to say about this.
Okay. Ms. Bush?
I'll just chime in a little bit. You know, I was originally concerned about the use. Why was it going from B2 to B4? You know, and then after hearing from the applicant, you know, I understand that the intent is somewhat transitional in nature based on, you know, the surrounding is very residential. I do understand that there is opportunity for putting these types of facilities and stores and uses to the north or south. However, you know, the facility, the roadway that it is on, and where the parcel is located is really designed for some type of commercial use in the future. This was something that in my former position I grappled with, because a lot of residents came out and said, don't develop that, but that's not something that we have necessarily control over. That's the market. And if they own this property outright, they are allowed to do certain things with that property. So from a private property rights standpoint, I do, you know, empathize with the property owner and wanting to do what they want with it. I just wish that they will use developmental best practices, low impact development, maybe try to save as many trees as they can. I know that's not really conducive, and you know, stripping the site and then putting in, you know, 3-inch caliper oak trees is really the standard, but would like to see the applicant, you know, take the best approach as they can to provide a bigger buffer maybe, and really limit the impact on the site. So those are my comments just on this, and I'll be probably voting in favor of the rezoning. Thank you.
Okay, and I might note that the impact environmentally would probably be greater if a gas station were to be put there than what is proposed. So, okay, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries unanimously. Okay. That's correct.
Yep, Chair, I did want to let you know that the applicants for V25062 are in the audience.
Okay. All right, would anyone like to have their input? I'm going to open the case V25062 back up or for consideration. We do have a motion on the floor, but if any of the members would like to hear from the applicant, there so speak now. Ms. Bush.
Chair, do we want to summarize what that motion is for the applicant, since they weren't here when we made the motion?
The motion for that V25062 was a motion for recommendation for denial of variances 1 and 2. Okay, so
Yeah, I would like to hear from him.
just make a comment that you'd like.
I'd like to hear from the applicant on this.
Okay.
I push my button and I don't get called.
Oh.
You're so used to me yelling out, aren't you? I was trying to be good.
Pushing his buttons.
All the time
looking,
that she
I was
does
like,
it,
yeah,
and
my
I don't-
name's
and
there.
I don't recognize
You're
it.
like calling it.
Okay, Ms. Shelley, would you like to make a
Yes, I would
statement?
like to hear from the applicant.
Okay.
Good
Good
morning.
morning.
I'm Star Tracy O'Brien for 1991 Cedar Street.
Okay. Are you familiar with the staff report?
I got what I got from the party that I was working with. I guess when the septic tank had to be moved to the front of the house, it pushed the house back out of minimum requirements.
Right.
And so when we pushed the house back, at that time, I wasn't aware that the city and the environmental kind of don't communicate. So when that was done, we already had the building permit, so I didn't realize that there was an issue because I had already, because that property didn't have any water there, we had to pay like the city of Daytona about $10,000 to do an extension on the water. I put basically like my life savings into this project because I didn't know about the minor, well, I guess it's a major issue that was going on in relation to the house and the size and the requirements.
Okay. So you've already pulled the building permit?
Yes, we were approved a building permit.
Okay. For that size house. And I think one of the questions that was coming about, that me personally, was why you couldn't reduce the square footage of the home in order to meet the requirements of the setback.
Well, I didn't, when this came
I see.
about, it was advised to submit for a variance. If I have to downsize it, I can most definitely go back to my planner and seeing it. I just need the opportunity to be able to build on the lot due to all of the money that I put into it.
Got it. Well, for future reference, if you ever have to go before anything, it doesn't matter what the recommendation is. I'd highly recommend that you try to be, and I understand you had an emergency, or call someone or something, because this could have went very bad with you.
Absolutely. And I did try and call. I just wasn't getting it. Once I realized I wasn't going to be here right at 9, I did make a few calls. I just kept getting like a voicemail, and I was like, I don't know if I can dial in. So I kept trying to call till I got somebody.
She reached our zoning tech line. One of our technicians emailed Steve and myself that she was attempting to contact to let us know she'd be late.
Okay. All right, I'm just giving her,
I appreciate it.
I'm not,
Hey, at least she showed up. We've
Ms.
had
Bush, you
numerous
had a
ones in the
comment
past
you'd
that
like to
didn't.
make? You had a comment?
Yeah, I just had a question. So if, would you be willing to, shrink the size of the footprint of the home in order to meet the conditions?
Yes, if I could be told exactly what I need to put it there, I'm willing to do it so that I'm able to build on the property.
Okay. And is this a single-story house?
Yes, it's a single story.
Okay. Would you be opposed to a two-story in order to get the square footage that you would like?
He helps me because I'm new to this. So do we know if we could? I mean,
It's a preference thing. I just didn't know. Some people are building for like a senior family member and they can't do two-story, so that like prohibits then the smaller square footage, the footprint of the home. So that's why I just asked. But there is no limitation. You could essentially
Not that
go.
I'm aware
Okay.
of.
Thank you.
Shelley?
Miss Shelley, your mic's not on.
believe you said so that she could meet the conditions. However, this application does meet all the conditions. So I'm just.
I apologize. Meet the
Yes.
setbacks and meet the maximum, the lot
Thanks.
coverage, right?
So,
meet the requirements.
what you're talking about, but it does meet all the conditions that were addressed that came before this count or this board. So that was the comment I wanted to make. Thank you.
Mr. Costa.
Yeah, I just want to make sure we're hung up on the lot coverage or the setback here. What's the consensus? I'm looking at this lot coverage. I don't have a issue with.
I don't either.
My question on the setback though, is there any reason that home cannot move forward, say even 5 feet, if not the full 10 foot? And you're only asking for a 5-foot variance as opposed to a 10-foot variance. Can that shift forward?
I think the setback happened because of the septic tank. The septic tank was originally in the back, but environmental said
You got to put it in the front.
we have to put it in the
So
front.
because of the setbacks from the septic, that's why the house shifted to the rear.
Correct.
Bingo. All right. In that
Counsel?
case, then I personally don't have a problem with these two variances.
Mr. Soria?
I just want to clarify, when she says environmental, that's not our environmental department, that's the health department.
yeah.
It's a state entity. They have jurisdiction over the location of septic systems.
Right. Ms. Bush?
So just to clarify, my hang up right now is the maximum lot coverage, not so much the 10-foot setback. And I personally feel, again, originally that, our hand is kind of being forced because of the fact that they issued you a building permit and shouldn't have. They should have caught that. And now you're being requested to come here to ask for a variance from something that staff should have caught and asked you to either resubmit and or go through the variance without having the building permit approval. So has nothing to do with your project. It's more the fact that I feel like we're being forced to make this decision and to approve this after the fact. And I'm not comfortable with that because of the considerable amount of flooding that our community has experienced with increasing the amount of impervious surface area, the fact that rainwater has nowhere to go. And the more that we continue to build and sprawl across our land is the limited amount of space that our stormwater has to go. So that's my hang up personally, and wanted you to hear that from me because I did discuss this, but you weren't here. So thank you for being here today.
Okay. Ms. Ray? You had a comment?
Sorry, it was me.
Oh,
No, no matter what, they're going to have to meet the 35 foot in the front because of the septic system pushing it 10 feet. So it's 25, then the 10, no matter what.
Okay. All right. Okay. Well, Ms. Craig.
I have one more comment that I wanted to back up what Ms. Bush had to say, that the square footage is an issue for me, but I don't really feel like there's much that can be done at this point because these poor people have been put through so much at this point. But, so I'm on the fence.
Okay. All right. Okay. Any other questions for the applicant? All right. I might make note that we do have a motion on the floor for a motion of denial for variances 1 and 2. So you would be denying the variances if you vote yes on the motion or approve it. So we will have to.
But it won't let me.
Mr. Urson.
I've been pushing and pushing. Go ahead. I keep looking and my name's
I was
not
going to
there.
ask that you repeat.
Oh, this one. Okay.
Mine's easy. I just wanted you to repeat it. Go ahead, Madam Secretary.
No, go ahead, Mr. Urson.
I just wanted you to repeat the motion. Bring me back to where we were this morning.
Yes.
The motion on the floor is to deny variances 1 and 2. That's what the motion is.
And who
on
was the
floor.
first and second?
The first was Ms.
I made the
Bush,
motion.
and who seconded that?
I did, but to make note of it, I'd like to withdraw my second. Can I do that? Or you just want to vote?
I have to ask Mr. Soria about that.
If not, we can vote, but
You can withdraw your second. We would just need another, to continue the motion, we would need another second. You are not required to vote in the same way that you seconded the motion.
Right.
So you can withdraw or not.
Okay, that's fine. We'll leave it.
Okay, Ms. Shelley.
I just wanted to say, I'm familiar with this area in Cedar Street and Daytona Beach, and this would be a lovely addition to that area and that part of our community.
Okay, we're going to go ahead and take a vote. Now, I remind you again, this is a vote to deny variances 1 and 2.
To clarify, a yes vote means
A yes vote means they don't get it.
correct.
Okay? All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All those opposed?
Aye.
Motion failures to pass with a 6-1 in dissent.
Do we need a positive?
Yes, sir.
Okay, I'll make a motion, case B 25-062, that we approve variances 1 and 2 with staff recommended conditions, if there are any.
And I'll second that.
Yeah,
There are
2 staff
two.
recommended conditions.
Okay, I got a motion on the floor to approve variances 1 and 2 for V 25062 with the 2 staff conditions for Mr. Costa and a second for Mr. Urson. Any discussion on the motion? All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed?
Aye.
Motion carries
6 to
6-1 with Ms. Bush in dissent.
Good
thing
luck.
You showed up.
I hope you don't have any more hiccups.
Okay. All right. We're going to move right into our attendance policy discussion this morning. I do have a comment on it, if
Yes.
if I may. You put in here that it would, and I think it's contradicting itself a little bit about being consecutive meetings. I don't think consecutive needs to even be in there as long as it's 3.
That was, so that mentioned in the report was that it was part of the discussion. So I did not write in that the meetings had to
Okay.
be consecutive, but that was part of the discussion that, this commission could also put in that it's 3 consecutive meetings. Because right now, the drafted language is just 3 meetings throughout the year, beginning the term of appointment.
Right. We
under
wanted an
reflecting.
opportunity to bring it to the commission
Yes.
before it's automatically removes them from the board.
Yes.
And the absences would be unexcused. That was some of the discussion
Yes.
that we were.
Right.
3
So-
unexcused absences.
Yes, 3 unexcused.
Within
Within the
within
12-month period starting
April
April
to April.
1st. Yes, April.
That's- when I read the consecutive, I'm saying, okay, that could be misconstrued as missing every other meeting, and you could actually miss 6.
Yes, so I was in, it's not in the current draft for consecutive. It's just that was one of the options bandied about by the commission.
okay.
Of okay, in lieu of the, excused absences, you can make it, you miss 3 consecutive for whatever reason whatsoever.
Oh, okay.
Right, so
Instead of
that's-
2.
Right.
Oh, okay. That's why I was put in there.
I will note that I took a look at the old attendance policy of this PLDRC, and it was 3 consecutive unexcused meetings. That was the old policy of the PLDRC attendance. So you actually had both. So so you had potentially attendance issues with members kind of being here but not here. Is
Yeah.
kind of what I want to say.
Ms. Bush?
Thank you, Chairman. Having hopefully what would be deemed an excused absence last meeting, I appreciate that you guys had the discussion about excused, unexcused. I'm just curious as to why you define an excused absence as a result of extraordinary circumstances, which is to be determined by the good judgment of the other members of the commission.
Sure. So that language tracks with some attorney general opinions on attendance policies or physical presence. So back during the pandemic, during COVID, there was an AGO opinion that said you need a physical quorum. We need people literally here. And the AGO said, okay, Governor, you can waive that provision, but the standard rule is if someone can't be present physically, they can participate virtually or through telephonic aspects but they limited it to extraordinary circumstances, usually medical issues, or not just something for convenience. But at the end, they said the extraordinary circumstance provision is determined by the good judgment of the board. So the board polices themselves.
Okay.
So that's the standard that we use for virtual participation. It's kind of the same. You're not here because it's inconvenient for you. You are not here because of some extraordinary circumstance. Usually it's medical, but if it falls outside of that, we leave it up to your fellow board members to determine the unavoidable conflict rises to the level of an extraordinary circumstance.
Understood. I guess I'm just concerned about maybe not listing some of those extraordinary circumstances, or at least pointing to that AGO documentation. I'm just concerned the comment of the good judgment by the other members of the commission, nothing to do with my fellow commissioners here. It's just that if there were to be in the future, one particular member that the general body didn't want, they could use that good judgment to that, and I just want to make sure that it is, above par, and that there are some parameters put in place. I appreciate the language, but more definition as to what those circumstances could be.
And that's something easily included, but not limited to these types of situations. So that's something that is easy enough to do, to list examples of what is considered extraordinary circumstance or unexcused absence. It's the determination whether you want complete flexibility or you want some guardrails. That's your decision. That's policy decision. So I'll draft whatever you decide on.
Okay, thank you.
Mr. Costa.
Yep. Just to clarify, the attendance policy that we're reviewing really has nothing to do with you and your circumstances. This has to do with something that happened last year. And second off, the last meeting that you missed would technically fall under unexcused absence, because I asked the question if you were, delivering your baby at the time, and no one seemed to know. Nobody seemed to know. So there's no call in, there's no email that's saying you were going to be not in attendance. At least not from this level of staff, because it was asked point blank.
I did email staff and let them know that I was being induced that day, that I was literally in labor while you all were meeting. You have an email stating that. And I understand that this has nothing to do with my personal circumstance,
right.
that this was from prior.
Correct.
So I just want the record to reflect that I did communicate that with staff. I did not send that email to everyone because of conflict. Right, and I was hoping that staff would then relay that message to all of you as they should have done.
I'm sure staff will correct me if I'm wrong, but I'm pretty sure that I point blank asked that question and was told we don't know.
Yeah, I was here.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, I sent it to staff. I copied everybody on it,
I'm
so
sure
I
you-
can
yeah,
I
I'm
can
sure you
forward
did.
that to all of you.
No, that's good. I'm sure you did. I was just bringing that up as a point of conversation here. In this attendance thing, I think we have to have a limit, regardless of combination of excused and unexcused. And I would set the limit at, say, 4 total. If you have a combination of 4, 3 excused and 1 unexcused, 4, you're out. I think that's logical. If not, you could get to the point where you can have an excused absence for a medical condition that could last 6, 7 months. As a board, we need to have all the seats filled, butts in all the seats to vote. We went through, last year we ended up with 2 seats vacant for the better half of the last sessions of 24. And I don't think we need to do that again, because it became very trying on the rest of us to make sure we were here till we had at least a quorum. And I think we need to kind of tailor that a little bit to have a combination thereof, or a maximum number of absences combined. Just don't know what that number should be. I think it's 4.
And the way it works is the excuse, maybe I should write this down and be clear. The excused decision doesn't happen to happen on the day that the member is not present.
Right.
It can happen, the next meeting, because if the circumstances don't allow you to communicate.
You're in a car accident on the way to the meeting. I can't call you and say, hey, I just got in a wreck, I can't be there. You're going to hear about it the next day, or possibly a week later if I'm, laid up in a hospital. So yes, I understand that.
Well, Ms. Craig, you was up there.
it was brought up in the discussion, what I had to ask about, which was at what point is the decision made about whether it's excused or unexcused?
And that's where I was going to go. I missed due to COVID. She missed due to pregnancy.
Ms. Bush?
Where's this tracked?
Yeah. Ms. Bush?
I will agree with Costa's discussion about a limit between unexcused and excused absence. If you do have an underlying condition that does not allow you to be here, I think then that needs to be, unfortunately, I would hate for that to be the decision of this body to make for that person. That person should just resign from that position if they can't be here, and I would hope that they would do that. But I think we do need to put guardrails in place so that we can make that decision. So I totally 100% agree with that. And I'm not sure if after we approve this, maybe there's some policy that's not necessarily specific in an ordinance that says at what point do you make those determinations? Because I don't think we need to put in when we vote for the excused, unexcused into the ordinance specifically, but I do think we need to come up with what that decision is and a time frame or a framework, and then just from, not to bring in my own personal, situation, but that staff needs to let the rest of the members know if one of the members does email and say they can't be there, that should be reflected in the record at the meeting.
I think at the last meeting, I think you weren't here, we were talking about the members not being able to email each other, and I think the consensus was just put them all as a blind copy.
Yes.
So
that's
an option.
No, it's when staff
Right.
communicates with all of you, we blind copy you. Do not blind copy a fellow member and email directly a fellow member. So
No, if I'm emailing the staff to say, hey, I'm going to be absent, can I not at that same time blind copy the rest of the members?
No, I would not recommend that.
You don't recommend it, but why don't you recommend it?
That could potentially fall into that communication between other members. If there's a two-way communication.
That's where you and I differ. But okay.
So the issue is if someone responds to that blind copy, because it becomes a two-way communication between two members of the same board. So that's why please do not do direct communications with each other, even if you blind copy them. It's when staff issues information or material, we will blind copy the entire commission so that you can't reply all, and or if you do reply all, you're not replying to a fellow member of the commission. You're just communicating with staff.
Ms. Shelley, you had a comment?
Ms. Shelley, your mic's not on.
Nope, I can't do one or the other here. Which
I feel you, girl.
Anyway, I'm going on that, but I've always tried to err on the side of caution with that. But the reason I wanted to speak is when we were talking about the absentees and all that, I also think it falls on the shoulders of whoever appointed us. If those absences, that they should be the ones that's, they might say, okay, my person's been gone this amount of time as well, and that they enforce that as well to possibly not reappoint the person so that they can get somebody who will be on there and represent their area. But anyway, that's just a comment.
Mr. Urson.
I'll just reiterate what I said last month. 3 for me is considered abandonment, period. That's just my opinion.
Ms. Bush.
2 things. One, just for the record, Samantha West and Carol McFarland both replied to my email that I had sent. It was Stephen was also copied on that email as well. The rest of staff was not, but again, I was hoping that would have been reflected, and you were all notified. So I apologize that didn't happen. Again, this is why I think we need some sort of policy as to who we then need to contact so that you all can let this body know when someone is not here so that you all can make the decision as to whether it's an excused or unexcused absence. The second thing that I do want to mention is that on our board, it's 2 absences. We do allow for unexcused for personal purposes, but it's 2, so within a 12-month period. So I'm we're a little bit more strict, and we have meetings every month as well. So could go either way, but I do agree. I think this language in the ordinance needs to be modified a little bit to either explain or provide what those extraordinary circumstances are, and then I think there needs to be a limit to both excused and unexcused absences. And I'm willing to agree with Commissioner Costa to say that 4 is the appropriate number. I almost think less, but if the rest of the commissioners want to say 4, then I will agree with that.
I'm playing devil's advocate here, that if you had 1 unexcused and 3 excused absences, I think that's still, your medical conditions, like, are you coming out of it or not?
I agree.
And you give them the best benefit of the doubt. We've lost good members because of that, but at the same time, you can't operate a board understaffed.
Just clarification on the number. I was thinking it was the number of excused absences, but you seem to be talking about a combination of excused and unexcused.
Combined total. Right. Because if you have unexcused and it's unlimited, I mean, technically I could, have a foot ailment or a back ailment 11 months of the year. And then that 1 month that I show up, I say, hey, I'm going to go to Cabbage Patch for coleslaw wrestling instead of being here on a Thursday. And so I'm on the board because I've only missed 1 unexcused absence.
Currently it's 2. You can have 2 unexcused absences, whether it's excused or unexcused. So right now, I'd like to see, if you're going to put a limit of 4, I'd like to see at least 2 and 2. 2 and 2, man. Yeah.
Is it 2 or 3? Because the way that the ordinance is written, it's 3.
It's you can miss 2. If you miss the third one, you're automatically
Then you're out.
vacant.
Okay,
Right?
okay.
It says 3 if a member fails to attend 3 meetings during the December 31st calendar year. So you're allowed to miss 2.
And the way this is written, it doesn't say anything about it. Just says if a member fails to attend 3 unexcused meetings, but it doesn't say anything about excused meetings.
That's why I said we need to have a combination.
Right.
There,
Yes.
yeah, maximum number.
So it was there was no limit of the number of excused meetings, which is the discussion at this point. If you are if your seat is empty, but you meet that extraordinary circumstance test, but you're not going to be here, that's the policy standpoint of, well, does the council remove you? Should you be granting the excused if you know that it's a prolonged kind of absence?
Could I make the suggestion then is that we put in here that maybe it's failed to attend 3 unexcused meetings, and then it's maybe a certain number of excused consecutive meetings, because obviously extraordinary circumstances, you might have 2 excuses, and the third one, you might potentially be, it could just be a really bad year, right? Whatever the case may be. And that's where I think the consecutive might be a good option for the language that is used. So that way, if somebody has a longer medical condition and they're gone from multiple meetings, then it's really clear that they either need to step down or we need to take action, or the county council member that appointed them needs to take action. My suggestion.
We're obviously giving this a lot of thought, so.
Yeah, it's not overly complicated right now because you're just dealing with two conditions. But the more conditions you put in, the harder it is for the member and staff to track. That puts a limit on the number of excused absences. You can only have two consecutive. You're allowed to have 2 consecutive excused absences, but you're not allowed to have the third one. At that point, you're vacating the seat.
Currently we have it as you can be out twice.
Yes.
Excused, unexcused, it doesn't matter.
No call, no show, yep.
Okay. And now we're trying to put limits on excused and try to determine what's excused and not. Why don't we just increase it to one more absence and be done with it?
This 4 total?
Just 3 total.
3 total?
3 total.
That's why.
Because the 3 total is 25% of the meetings.
Without having to vote on any kind of excuse, unexcused.
Unexcused. Nobody's going to sit here and
judge and jury.
dislike someone or whatever. Let's just increase it by 1. I think, in my case, and I've been here for a while, I took off and I went to Indonesia. That's unexcused. That was my choice. And I missed 2 consecutive meetings. Now, I had to really watch myself the rest of the year And if I would have to come in sick, show up, and then leave, and that's what I was trying to avoid. There are going to be circumstances where, and I think for the most part, we all want to be here. I don't think anybody's here for that big old $200 a month check. So for the most part, we all want to be here. But there are circumstances that come along. We can really simplify this by just adding one more, and I think that's 25%. Basically, when I even considered this, that's all I was asking for to begin with.
Me too. And
So
moved.
3 and out, period.
3 and out.
That's what I said.
And they can be excused, unexcused. I mean,
Doesn't really matter. So there's no need to call other than courtesy call. Hey, I'm not going to be there, so we know for a quorum standpoint
So you're saying you're.
for the appointment year.
Do you want to change still track it with the appointment year and not the calendar year?
Yeah, the appointment year. Yeah.
just make it 3 and just be done with
Well-
it instead of what we're doing. You still have the opportunity to go back to council, state your case. I was out with a broken leg and couldn't walk and couldn't get here. You can do that if you wish. You can appeal to council. You don't even, it's not even an appeal. You go in there, during this public conversation, you can ask to be reappointed and to be done with it. And just because we're going to sit here and say, well, you're favoring this guy and that guy, and my opinion there is everybody should get along anyway, but that's beside the point. That's not going to happen, I guess.
But not the appointment term.
Can you rephrase your
Yeah.
Just to change it from 2 to 3, period.
I moved on that. Yeah.
And change the time frame from January to
April.
1 to December 31 to April 1 to May 31st.
So, all right, unless I'm misunderstanding you, nothing has changed because right now it's 3. You miss 3,
where
you're
does it
out
stay
automatically.
So we would be changing that to 4?
To
If
4.
you miss
That's
4.
what, okay, yeah, 4.
Okay.
Throughout,
All right. That's-
you know.
I was wondering the same
I was trying to track with you, and I'm okay. It's like we haven't. We're not
Make it to where you could miss 3 and without any consequences.
without any consequences. You miss that 4th, you're automatically out at that point. Okay,
That's it.
there we go. Now we're on the same page.
So what my understanding is it simplifies it significantly. So we just change the number of misses before it's automatically vacated from 3 to 4, and then change the term for when those misses count from 12 months from April to April, basically the term appointments rather than through calendar years.
Yeah, that way we don't have to worry about excused, unexcused, any kind of voting. It's just a straight black and white.
Yeah.
Okay.
Can I,
In other words, you could miss 3, no problem. You miss that 4th when you're gone.
for clarification purposes, isn't the term for 2 years? So would it be for a calendar year and not the term year?
Yes, yeah. So it's no, we
Month of the term.
the issue is it's calendar year right now, so it starts from December to December, but you are appointed in April. When I say term year, I mean the 12-month period from April to April.
So it's a 12-month
Yeah,
period?
yes.
Okay. That's what
Not
I
for the
want.
2-year term.
I was going to
It's
say,
for,
I don't know if 4 for 2 years
Yes.
is the appropriate answer
so
either.
it's 12 months from April.
Yeah. Okay.
Okay. Does that make it better?
Makes it better.
Do we need a
Trying to
motion
figure out
for
who's
that?
gonna do
Yes,
all
yeah.
this.
I
moved
You
on
keep
it.
With an hour.
packing.
So if you can make a motion, we will take this to council, get the go-ahead. If I get the go-ahead, I'm just going to start drafting the ordinance, and then hopefully the next time you see it, it's going to be an advertised ordinance form. And then we're going to have to follow back to amend the bylaws to match the ordinance. And then, you can have, there's also some additional provisions in the bylaws that were identified.
Don't forget the secretary's position to then
Yes.
take all. Is everybody good with that?
Yeah, I saw
Are you
that.
good with that, Ms. Shelley? Or do you want to take everything in?
Stamp it. I'll give you a stamp.
I'm working on the buttons.
So do you need that official motion then?
I think I would like an official motion because I can take your
Nice.
motion to county council. Yes, so.
I mean, okay.
Yeah, no, go right ahead.
I was going to make a motion to amend section K of the, what is it? The bylaws, rules and procedures of the PLDRC to state 4 absences within a 12-month period beginning April 1st of each year.
And I'll second that.
I've got a motion on the floor to amend the bylaws of the PLDRC to make it 4 absences instead of the current 3, and change the time frame from April 1st for 12 months instead of from a calendar year. Also, did you want to include changing the secretary's
C.
position?
Yes. And that is
C.
in Article 4, officers, letter C, secretary, amend the language to remove the duty to receive any evidence or documenting presented to the commission at any commission meeting, and to sign or initial the date of such documents or evidence.
Okay. To also include in the secretary's portion of the bylaws, it shall also be the duty of the staff recording secretary to receive any evidence or documents presented to the commission at a commission meeting and sign or initial and date of such documents or evidence. That cover it?
We're basically doing what we're doing
What
now.
we're doing now, exactly.
So that's in the bylaws. That'll actually come. That's not an ordinance change, so that's something that you can address later
Okay,
on.
that motion was by Ms. Bush,
right.
and who was the second?
I second it.
And Mr. Urson was the second. Was that, you good with that, Mr. Soria?
Yes.
Okay. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Hang on,
Aye.
hang on, hang on, hang on, hang on. I'm going to comments. You didn't ask for comments,
Oh,
and I got a
okay.
comment.
You want to go ahead, Mr. Costa.
Were we going to address the stipend issue?
The stipend issue is another resolution.
Separate from this one?
Yes.
Okay, then we can vote on this.
Yes.
Yeah.
All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? Motion carries unanimously.
Now, can we talk about the stipend?
That's going to be a county council decision because it's hold on, I actually have the resolution from 1995, I believe.
Okay. A little bit of a change in it.
$200 in 1995.
Is equivalent to what today?
I thought it was 87.
Oh, I think you may be right. Hold on, let me find it.
That was a lot of money in 87.
Was it an 87?
Yeah, yes, 87, 1987, 87, 143. So yeah, this is a county council resolution. So it would have to, go to county council to potentially increase that, but it has been $200 since 1987.
That was a lot of money back then.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Should we figure it out? To ask Siri what the difference is?
The equivalent.
We might be getting all kinds of applications for this board.
Siri is working.
Maybe we will stick around
But
for a
but
while.
I understand my understanding of the discussion was linked to the
Cost of living?
yes, and also
COLA.
the printouts for the physical printouts.
That and all in the fuel.
Yeah. I was
Fuel.
gonna say traveling. It was before Google Maps.
I'd be curious to see what the council stipends were in '87 versus what they are today. What that change in number,
So that's governed by the charter.
right?
The charter says no refunds for in-county travel. So the council members do not get reimbursed for all the activities they have to drive through in county, but outside of county they can get reimbursed. Is how our charter reads.
But they get a salary.
They get a salary. That's what I'm saying. What the salary? I said stipend, but I meant salary.
Yeah, salaries I think 50%.
Between '87 to today is what the differential is.
Right. I think that their salary is the chair gets 60% of the state salary, and then everyone else gets 50%.
And let the record
I'll tell you what,
reflect.
I like
Oh.
to send it as a motion, but as a group to at least approach council for that consideration.
To review it, yeah.
Consideration to increase the stipend, pardon? I probably know where this is going, because I've already heard it, but anyway. I'm talking about from council.
Hey, you know.
Somebody make a motion just for us to send to them.
Yeah, I'll move forward with that motion.
Second.
Oh, thanks.
Who made the motion?
Nobody. He just did.
Person did.
He just paraphrased what you said.
Okay. Mr. Soria, do you have that to send, bring to council?
Yes.
Okay.
Well, it'll have to go through Growth and Resource Management staff. They're the ones who handle the budgetary things. It's not really a legal item, it's a policy item.
Yeah. Okay.
And before we vote, it's like a $300 to $500 difference from today's value. So just so that you know.
That is a big difference, isn't it?
300 to 500?
Depending on the source.
200?
Correct. So,
So we're at
the
$500
value.
to $600?
Correct. That would be the value of the $200 today from 1987.
Okay, we're done with that. Do we have any other public items?
Did we vote on
All in
that?
favor?
Oh,
We may have a motion in a second, but I
Oh,
don't think we
okay.
voted.
I think we have a motion in a second. I'm not sure we have a.
all those in
formal
favor
vote yet.
signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries unanimously.
Got
Okay. Any other public items?
No, sir.
Any staff items?
No, sir.
Any staff comments?
No, not today.
Any commission comments?
Sir?
I have some, but go ahead.
Ms. Bush?
I have a few, so I apologize, but this is my standard. I would like to ask staff for a couple varying changes to staff reports moving forward. One, the jurisdictions aren't labeled on the vicinity map, and there were a couple locations that were adjacent to cities, and they were grayed out or they were a different color, but there was no legend on the map. It wasn't until I got into the zoning or the future land use maps where it was identified. So I would just ask that you start labeling those with the jurisdiction so that we are aware of where that's at. Second, because of all of the changes to the special condition or the special exemptions and that whole change that occurred, I would like to start seeing the different uses of what's allowed and what's not allowed when we see rezonings, just so that we can become a little bit more familiar, at least myself, as to those changes in uses. I did have to ask staff on the business rezoning as to what the different uses were in each one. And I'm not really sure if that's codified yet or if that's up on in the Unicode. So just providing that in the future would be beneficial.
Yeah, the ordinance has not been assimilated into the ordinance, but it is on the website. If you go to Municode, all the different jurisdictions, their copy of the ordinances are available for, they break it down by year. So the 2025 ordinances are there, and that's one of them. It's available, but it has not been assimilated into the regular text as yet.
Okay, so yeah, just providing those uses for clarification would be beneficial. And then I do have a couple questions on some things that we've discussed in the past, and I just wanted to know if where we're at with some of those things. You had presented to us the changes to the size of the square footage of mobile homes, and I was wondering if that was moving forward to county council at any point in time.
Yes, so we had an ordinance meeting, I believe, last week, and I believe that will be going forward back to county council at the beginning of next year, of 2026.
Okay, so will it come before this body? Because we reviewed, right?
Sorry.
No, it's okay.
So we still need direction from county council. So what we're going to do is present what we've, the research we've done, and then if they would like us to begin to draft an ordinance, it will come back before you.
Got it. Okay. And then prior to this commission, this body, I had asked a couple different times to look at the impervious surface ratio and make that, and as a part of our review, it was voted on. So I'm just curious if that's made forward movement to the county council to ask if that's something that they want to change.
That current provision is barred by SB 180 because it is a more restrictive or burdensome amendment to the land development regulation, and we are prohibited from even proposing an amendment to it.
Okay, so can we just agree that that might be on hold until SB 180 is
A lot of
modified?
things are on hold
Okay, understood.
because of SB 180.
Okay.
You know, we had, in my opinion, a very good stormwater ordinance that was reactive to actual pond failures that we had to void because of SB 180.
It's not voided, it's just on hold. Let's just use more positive language. I would like, and I don't think that this is subject to Senate Bill 180, and I think that this is in alignment with what the chairman has kind of echoed over some time, but I would love to revisit agriculture setbacks in general, both for accessory structures and for principal structures. Some of these lots don't necessarily meet the minimum lot requirements, where they're substandard lots, and so sometimes they're not able to put these buildings where it's intended to by the code. There's also environmental constraints that they're dealing with. So we have a lot of variances that we review from this, and I think that it would be, it's becoming not burdensome, but I just think that if we're trying to be supportive of agriculture ventures in the county, then we should eliminate the need for them to come forward for
Absolutely.
a 10-foot accessory structure setback.
We've done a little bit of that with sheds and fences no longer requiring a zoning permit. If you have a shipping container and you are in agricultural zoning, that also does not require a permit, and I think it's like a 15-foot side setback or something like that. But that is something that staff can absolutely look at in terms and interfacing with what is the Agricultural Business Committee? Right. Yeah. So there is a specific agricultural interrelationships committee that provides us comments all the time. So that's one of the things that staff can definitely look at to make it a viable career option to do agricultural here in Volusia County.
Yeah, and just to, like I said, it's more of like the accessory structures that I think are, prohibitive. No one's going to build a 500 square foot shed on an A2 or A1 zoning to, house animals. It's not really big enough in certain circumstances, or they might need to put it, more adjacent to the property line in order to avoid wetlands, tree removal, things of that nature. We see that quite often, at least in the cases that we've reviewed in the time that I've been on the board.
Yeah, so it's a timing issue because, before they get that ag classification, they have to comply with our setbacks. But the moment they get their ag classification, non-residential farm building doesn't need a permit and ignores all of our codes except for floodplain codes.
I'm saying irregardless of the ag exemption, if it's ag zoned property, I think that we should reevaluate the setbacks. I mean, some of them for A1 are somewhat excessive. I think it's like 100 foot for, certain setbacks. So I want to reevaluate those to really see if they're necessary anymore, especially as we are supporting agriculture uses on smaller substandard lots throughout the county, and we want to support those for personal use, right? And or for business. So I don't know if we need to take a vote on that in order to send that, in order to get that to go to council. I hope council will be supportive of that, and I do not feel like that is burdensome under Senate Bill 180.
It depends upon, you can take a vote to PLDRC asked, that council direct staff to look at it, and they would be very interested in looking at the accessory, the way that accessory structures are handled in certain zoning classifications. And then, if we have a motion, we can take it to council and say PLDRC really wants to look at this particular aspect.
Okay. I will open it up to my fellow commissioners to see if that's something you're interested in.
Well, how long have I been talking about this, Scott? Quite a few years, huh? I've been talking about this for a long time, and under different councils too. So I don't know where it would go. The fact of the matter is you can have a non-agriculture exempt property sitting between two agriculture exempt properties, and they could do whatever as long as it's agriculture related. But unless I'm agriculture exempt or can prove an agricultural use, then I've got a problem on my setback. But the biggest problem is the agricultural setback is more restrictive than the residential setbacks. And I don't know the purpose behind this other than you got a bigger piece so you can move further back. I don't know who ever come up with that. So I have expressed this for quite a few years and Scott can tell you, I went back and forth on this many a times, ever since I've been sitting on this board, as a matter of fact. And I'm in total agreement with what you're saying. How we get it pushed forward, I really don't know. Council has made a few strides on some agricultural properties, as Mr. Sori has said, but they've never really addressed the setback issue. It's always been, I think one of the greatest things was the 5-lot subdivisions on agricultural property for large parcels. And then we have the fence ordinance that just went into place that you don't have to put a permit as long as you meet the requirements. Accessory structures. So I'm all in favor of them looking at it and further than what has currently been looked at. That's my opinion.
Well, I'm wondering about the gentleman that was here earlier who spoke of nuisance issues, basically with something going in that, smells and noise, that sort of thing. I think that probably played into why the setbacks are as small as they are.
Well,
Or
to
as
address that
large as
comment
they-
is, you don't go sit next to a pool if you don't want to get wet.
Airport analogy.
Truthfully, that's what, if you go buy a piece of agricultural property or buy next door to an agricultural piece of property, then you can expect that. That's the whole purpose, is a rural environment. And I mean, that's just the way I feel about it. So if you don't want that, go ahead and get in a residential neighborhood where you don't have the smells or the animal noises.
But what about somebody who already, an existing property and the adjacent property gets rezoned in such a way that the setback is reduced significantly from what there was before?
So there's two answers to this. One, as we had this discussion today, fundamentally the zoning is a compatibility issue. You are determining, can these two uses coexist over a prolonged period of time and not negatively impact each other? Second one is there's a state right to farm act. And that right to farm act says if you have an agricultural operation and you are operating for a period of 1 year, what it does is it says you are exempt from public and private nuisance actions, to the extent that you've established that particular farm activity. It doesn't say you can expand the farm activity and still be exempt. But, if you get your ag classification and you're operating as a farm during that 1 year period, basically you're no longer subject to private nuisance actions due to your farm activities. So there's some state protection associated with bona fide farm activities.
So the neighbors lose their ability to raise an objection after a year?
They lose their ability to sue on private nuisance and public nuisance for the extent that that specific activity has been in operation. So that's the right to farm act and how it operates here in Florida. But prior to that, the initial establishment of a farm, if they don't have something that allows them to do it by right, to do bona fide farm operations, that's a discussion for this commission on whether or not, from a compatibility standpoint, you should be, putting or rezoning something to allow full-scale farm operations.
And correct me if I'm wrong, but if they are a full-scale farming operation, then they're exempt from meeting the setbacks for any of those
Yes.
structures anyway.
Yes.
Right.
Yes.
So this would just be for those non-agri,
Right.
if it's not ag exempt, like my property is not ag exempt, so I would have to come before the board in order to place something on the property
Right.
that
It's
doesn't meet excessive setbacks.
It is more for, you have a pig farm, and you put the pig farm right next to your neighbor. They have a year, essentially, to object and say, hey, this is a nuisance. And And after that year goes by, they can no longer sustain a private nuisance action against the farm.
So what do we want to do on the agriculture classifications?
I will move to ask this commission, or move that staff go to council to evaluate the setbacks for agriculturally zoned properties for both accessory structures greater than 500 square feet and principal structures.
I'll second that.
So just so that I'm clear, so we're looking at them they're looking at the ag zone property versus bona fide ag and trying to marry those two together so that the ag zone gets the same benefits as a bona fide ag from.
So the zoned property, not ag exemption from property taxes purposes.
Understand, but from the setbacks and because if you're bona fide ag, as he was saying, you can plop down the pole barn wherever.
Right, so this is ag zoned property.
Okay.
Just to be clear, just an example, like the A1 you mentioned earlier is a 100-foot front yard, 50 side and rear. A2 is a 50-foot front, rear, 25 on the side. A3 and A4 are 40-foot front yard, 25 side yards. You're looking to affect the setback to that zoning classification. Instead of 100 or instead of 50 or instead of 40, it'd be X. And then because under the code, if you have an accessory, no matter what zoning you're in, for residential purposes, if you have a accessory structure over 500 square feet, you must meet the minimum requirement of that zoning. So you're looking to affect a separate code line, if you will, that for structures over 500 square feet in ag zonings, as an example, they would have to meet X. It may not be the minimum requirement of the zoning, but it'd be another number.
Correct.
That's lesser, but not as burdensome as the principal standard.
Correct.
I think I understand. So, for example, today you made the comparison. If this wasn't ag zoning, if this wasn't equivalent residential with the same, minimum lot size, what would the setbacks be?
Mm-hmm.
So you can have something to the effect of different setback standards for different types of uses within the same zoning district. I mean, that's a common practice.
All I'm saying is that do accessory structures in agriculture zoned properties need to meet the principal, because that's right now the requirement. I'm suggesting that we separate the two and just evaluate, because we've issued a lot of variances to accessory structures greater than 500 square feet, meeting a smaller setback. I don't necessarily think that we need to amend the principal structure setback. Could still be 50 foot for A1 in the front yard, but maybe the accessory structure then is 25 because it's not a principal use, right? So having those varying setbacks and just identifying what are other counties doing, like Lake County, Osceola County, just trying to figure out if we're being too burdensome on those setbacks and requiring a lot of applicants who are just trying to build a structure to put a tractor in or put a cow in, to come before this board, when that is the intent of the zoning district and the intent of the county's wishes is to make that easy for people to have in the county.
Be simpler than, because if you're talking just accessory element, then we'd be looking at modifying section 72-277 our code, which deals with accessory structures and has the language for all the residential classifications that if basically, no matter what the zoning is, you could be, if it's less than 500 square feet, it could be 5 feet from a property line, but not in an easement. But if it's over the 500, it has to meet the principal no matter what the zoning. So we'd have to add basically another clause, if you will, the following zonings, presumably, I would say, I guess the FR and RC, because those are big setbacks. So the RC, FR, A1 through A4. Classifications, because those are your primary ag classifications.
Yeah, I mean, I would look to staff to bring
Those
back
are your big setbacks.
what the,
Okay. So we allow for, obviously, a reduced accessory setback standard.
Correct.
Okay.
Okay, we need to take a vote on that. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries unanimously. Okay, Mr. Costa, you had something you wanted to bring up.
This goes back to the staff comments. So, because because there was no staff comments. My question is, Mr. Shams, aren't you in a different position today than you were last time we met?
Officially, yes.
Officially?
Yeah.
You might want to share that with us, if you would, please.
Okay, so I've been, I guess, promoted to be the PLDRC supervisor coordinator. So I'll be your point of contact.
So we're going to get an email with your email address so that we can send you notices that we're going to be absent?
Yes.
Thank you.
And for the record, we should email you specifically and not, is Samantha no longer the planning manager or?
She's still the planning manager. I'm simply under her position.
You're the handler.
To coordinate this board, yes.
Okay.
He handles our board. He handles the board, yeah. Well, great. So make sure we have sugar in the coffee, by the coffee pots and, cups. And
We'll see what we can do.
All right. Appreciate it. Thank you. That was my comment. Thanks.
Mr. Urson, did you have something you wanted to say?
I was going to say the same thing.
Okay.
The faces have been moving around the chairs. I can't, every time I look up, someone's moved to a different side of the room over here. So I'm trying to figure out what's going on. But, now I understand.
Okay, that looks like the end of the commission comments. Ms. Tucker, we'd like to thank you for taking multiple tasks today.
I do my best.
She had to do.
Made sure Mr. Costa had his sugar today.
I've become a bear, no sugar.
I'm going to return my iPad. Didn't work out. Mine's better.
Okay, you return an iPad. Okay. All right, any other commission comments? Any press and citizen comments? This meeting's adjourned.